Good evening from Huff Hall here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. It's college women's gymnastics action here at the University of Illinois as the Fighting Illini take on the Bowling Green State University Falcons coming from the MAC. Streaming on Big Ten Plus, I'm joined alongside Connor McCool, member of the UIUC men's gymnastics team. I'm Alec Gilmore, here to take you through the action this Thursday evening. So Connor, it's March 10th. Big Ten championships are March 19th. The women have one more meet for the Illini, certainly, before those Big Ten championships. So how much is tournament weekend weighing on the Illini minds? Are they preparing, already starting to get mentally set for the postseason, or is their focus primarily on this meet tonight?
The Illini have a big weekend this weekend. They have a double meet, so they're heading out to Mizzou on Saturday. So I think they're just trying to get through this weekend healthy with some big scores to go in with momentum into the Big Ten championships. Obviously, it's a big meet. They're going to be competing in the morning session, which I think the Illini were a little bit disappointed. Wanted to make that night the marquee night session, but they're definitely coming in with momentum. Season high last weekend, 197, 125, which is third best in program history. So they've got momentum. I think they just want to keep it up today going into next weekend.
Connor said it, third best score in program history. It was an exciting affair just 6 days ago here at Huff Hall. It was amassed against three other teams, and you talk about momentum, there's not too much in that direction for Bowling Green. Just two opponents defeated this year. They will see the MAC championship start in about 9 days. It is their last meet of the regular season. Connor, how important is it for Bowling Green to get a win potentially here and maybe at least get things in the right direction heading into championship weekend?
Yeah, Bowling Green definitely had a slower start to the season than I think they would have wanted to. They're starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. They themselves had a season high last weekend, a 195.7. They're still actually having one of the best seasons since 2018 for Bowling Green. Maybe it's not coming with a lot of wins, but I think the Falcons have a lot to be happy about with this season, especially with these past couple meets. They have a lot of momentum coming to that. The MAC championships, they want to be competitive, and they were last year, so they're just hoping that this late season momentum is going to come out in favor with them.
They've certainly been battling some tough teams, have Bowling Green, so here's the key here, and we're getting started on the ball for the Illini. They're just getting warmed up here, but it will be the Illini first on vault. Mia Takakawa will kick things off, followed by Olivia O'Donnell, Rutu Nataraj, Mia Towns, Lexi Powell, and Araya Simons will be setting up on the vault for the Fighting Illini. Meanwhile, on the bars, the Bowling Green State Falcons will start with Lexi Borenhorn, Taylor Jensen, Dalia Solorzano Caruso, Katrina Mendez Abolnik, Lily Harsh, and then Catherine Weilbacher will anchor on the vault for the Bowling Green State Falcons. So that will be the format. Of course, the teams will switch for the second rotation. The Illini will then travel to the balance beam for their third rotation before closing on floor. Meanwhile, it will be bars, vault, floor, and then beam for the Falcons. So we've already talked about it, but the discrepancy in records, certainly not one to suggest that either of these teams are without a lot of talent. That's certainly been on show for the Illini, a lot of career highs, certainly within the last few weeks.
Absolutely.
And then meanwhile with Bowling Green, they've also been improving throughout the season, as you just said, Connor. Season best in their last showing. So coming in, does that momentum come with you into each individual meet, or do you have to reset in between those meets no matter how long it is between the two?
Momentum is key, honestly. Going into each meet, going in, having the confidence from the last meet, knowing what you're capable of performing, especially Bowling Green on the road, coming into another road meet, having the confidence of getting a season high on the road, coming into this next meet, it's really important, I think, for the confidence level. Definitely building up the score each time. It makes it easier, I feel like, each time, because you just know what you're capable of, and the standard you set for the team gets higher and higher each time. So I think they're coming in, they're expecting another 195 today.
Both coaches are going to want that high standard to be set. Both coaches experienced in their roles. Head coach Natalie Walsh for the Illinois Fighting Illini. It's her 5th year with Illinois, but she has traveled quite a bit around in the coaching circuit. She has certainly settled into her role here in the orange and blue. Meanwhile, it's Carrie Turner's 14th season as head coach of the Bowling Green State Falcons, and she also had a few years prior as an assistant coach. So two highly experienced coaches with plenty of accolades to their names, and they will certainly be wanting to come into championship weekend on that high note. So we're about a minute and a half away from the first rotation. We've got the vault track right in front of us here, and Connor, we're very fortunate to have your insights. Obviously, you've been part of the sport for most of your life, I think it's safe to assume. And
Yeah.
with vault in particular, since you do compete there, maybe there are some differences in the men's and women's gymnastics, but what are some key translations that come across both men's and women's gymnastics that are important for these gymnasts to remember on the vault?
Yeah, so we'll see pretty much, I believe, every athlete do a Yurchenko vault, so they'll do the round off onto the board, back handspring onto the table. So they want to get back to that table as quick as they can to get, really the name of the game on vault is height, distance, and form, and then that landing. So getting people to get back to the table quickly, big height, and drop in for that stick, that's going to be important for those high scores. The Illini have been doing a lot of that this year. We've seen a ton of career highs, a ton of 9.9s on an event that in the past wasn't really known as Illinois' best event. They're really proving the people wrong there. It's definitely been a highlight for them. This, that I think it's their highest national ranking, so that's really exciting.
So we should be in for a lot of high talent and a lot of very impressive work, and we keep talking about it. Illinois in the last 2 weeks have put on 2 of their best performances of the season, finishing in the third in the Big Five just a few weeks ago, and have since improved for setting those high marks. We're just a few moments away from getting started here on the vault, one of the higher scoring events in general, and as Connor said, it's become a bit of a staple for this Illinois side, who really has grown to excel in a lot of these events. So the PA has announced that the clocks have hit 0, and we are just moments away from getting started. It will be Mia Takakawa to get things going on the vault for the Fighting Illini. Mia Takakawa, the junior of Sacramento, California, a career best of 9.9 in this event. Takakawa will certainly be wanting to get things off on the right foot for the Illini. You can see there's head coach Natalie Walsh in the orange blazer. We have seen that make an appearance a couple of times throughout this season. Very social coach is Natalie Walsh, and both of these coaches very grounded with their programs and very proud of what they've been able to achieve. Have a lot of pride in the gymnasts that they spend so much time with. Is the last huddle for the Fighting Illini, and there's associate coach Stephen Buckner there addressing his gymnasts for the final time before Mia Takakawa kicks things off here at Huff Hall in some Thursday night women's gymnastics action. So we will eye the judges. Like I said, the ball track just feet away from Connor and I, so we'll be in for quite the view. You see more Illini teammates not competing in this event that are ready to cheer on their teammates. For those not familiar with women's gymnastics, you have a lot of spirit among the non-competing teammates, and you will certainly hear that. The green flag is raised for Mia Takakawa. She takes her place, and she gets ready to kick things off here at Huff Hall. It's a good, strong run-up.
Wow.
It's a strong stick to start the meet.
Yeah, honestly, Illinois couldn't have asked for a better first vault. We let off with a stuck Yurchenko full that looks very similar to the 9.9 vault that she got at the Big Ten Championships last year. As close to that 9.9 as a leadoff as we can get is absolutely imperative for the Illini to start off strong. Score building is really prevalent in gymnastics, so seeing how high you can get off the leadoff and push the judges higher each routine is important.
You can certainly see the pride the Illini had. Meanwhile, here's Lexi Bornhorn for the Bowling Green State Falcons opening on the bars.
Yeah, start off a really nice toe on Tkachev called a Ray. One of the key things on uneven bars is hitting the handstands. She's struggling a little bit with that, but gets a stuck dismount, so that's still an extremely strong start for Bowling Green.
There's a good stick from the freshman nursing major at Bowling Green of Independence, Kentucky. The Falcons will certainly have a lot of pride in that start there. Here's Abby Miller.
Wasn't supposed to be in the vault line. It looks like she got switched in. I saw her drill one in the one-touch warm-up, so maybe they thought she was a better choice. Let's see. She's known to stick this vault.
It's not her first time for the season. We'll see if she can make this a good one.
Wow, yeah. She's worked really hard in the offseason to improve the height and distance and landing. She stuck a ton this season. Didn't quite get the stick today, but that was a great vault.
It's a minuscule hop, so it will be a very slight deduction for Abby Miller, but like Takakawa, she will feature multiple times this evening, and so we'll certainly see a lot of these two highly talented gymnasts, two good starts for the Fighting Illini.
Looks like Mia Takakawa got a 9.875, so just short of that career high. Awesome start for the Illini.
Certainly not a lot of room between that 10 range and her score. So with that, Taylor Jensen will get ready to get started on the bars. The second athlete for Bowling Green in this event. Taylor Jensen, a junior out of North Prairie, Wisconsin. An architecture major at the Mac School.
Looks like there's a little bit of a delay in the judging.
It looks like they're just getting the score set for the previous vaulter, Lexi Bornhorn.
Looks like there's a change in their lineup. I think Caruso ended up leading off with a 9.775. That's a great start for them as well.
Nice observation there, partner. That is indeed the case. Well, it's a 9.775 no matter how you slice it. Dalia Solorzano, Caruso getting things started.
Beautiful blind to Jaeger, straight to the bell. I think this is Lexi Bornhorn. Lacked a little bit of amplitude down on the low bar, but still a really nice sequence. Short on that handstand on the top of the bar. A nice blind full, though, right to the double tuck. And another stuck landing for Bowling Green. These are two solid starts on the uneven bars. Really the best they could ask for.
Lexi Bornhorn, who I believe that was, has come on strong. She debuted with an 8.25, has since averaged a 9.668. Here's Rutu Nataraj, the freshman.
Wow, yeah, another ginormous Yurchenko full. She debuted a Yurchenko 1.5, which is a 10-0 start value vault. I don't think we're going to see any 10-0 start value vaults today from Bowling Green State or Illinois, but that was still an excellent Yurchenko full.
Certainly gutsy from Nataraj, again a freshman of Wallingford, Connecticut. Not too much was known about her until a few weeks ago. She had a career day against Rutgers where she saw a pair of 9.9s and helped the Illini secure the victory there. So already with a lot of strong performances recently, Nataraj with the third vault for the Illini's day, and they'll certainly be happy with that one.
Yeah, Abby Miller got a 9.85 as well, which is a great score for her vault. Hopefully Rutu will at least be able to match that for the Illini. This is starting off to be a really great vault and bars rotation for Bowling Green.
That was also 25 thousandths shy of her record, Abby Miller. So a lot of close calls already, if you will. With that, I believe this is Taylor Jensen. It was Bornhorn second up for the Falcons.
A 9.825 coming through. That's an excellent score for her.
It continues an incredible trend that she's shown. A 9.75 was her previous career high, so she has absolutely smashed that here. And you can hear the approval of her fellow Falcons. That will raise her already very impressive average.
This is Katrina Mendez actually on bars. They've done a lineup switch on us. She's gonna do a different release than we've seen. Nice handstand, a blind full, right into a ginger, back half, and then down to the low bar. A little bit of leg separations. She kept her feet off the ground, which is good. A little bit closer. That would have been a larger deduction. Nice handstand on top. Going for a big disc knot here. Double layout. Pretty big step. Couple little form errors there, but still another solid hit that Bowling Green State loves to have.
Certainly courageous routine there. With that, Mia Towns, vaulter number 4 for the Fighting Illini, will get things going here.
The Illini love to have Mia Towns back in their lineup. She was out due to an illness early in the year, but she's happy and vaulting some big vaults last week at 9.85. And that will, I can almost guarantee will be higher than that. That was a beautifully high.
I think she just about stuck it there.
Yeah, she fought to keep that left foot down, but I think I'm going to call that a stick, and that's going to be a huge number.
Incredible strength and discipline there from Mia Towns, who, as you said, it's been a tumultuous year for the junior of Pflugerville, Texas, but she will certainly be happy with that showing. So just a brief moment of pause. We're seeing the score. And the key tenths number obstructed there.
9.925, I think I just saw come through for Mia Towns. She received one judge gave it a perfect 9.95 score. So the Yurchenko full only starts out of a 9.95. One judge gave it a 9.9, the other judge gave it a 9.95. So that is an unbelievable score.
And that ties her career high of a 9.925.
Yeah, that is excellent.
It's a good note there, Connor, that you made. There are, of course, it's a maximum score of 10 overall, but different vaults will have different starting scores. It's deductions from your perfect score. So just 25 thousandths off there for Towns' vault. Just another brief moment of pause at the uneven bars for the Bowling Green State Falcons.
Next up on bars for Bowling Green, Taylor Jensen.
This is Taylor Jensen now, so out of order, but the first 4 listed vaulters, or excuse me, uneven bars athletes are the first 4 to go.
She's going to do, Bowling Green has a lot of variety on the uneven bar. She's going to do another different release called a Tkachev, then straight down to the bail of the low bar. Really nicely done. Couple little form errors, but overall pretty nice. Just about got to the handstand there. She's going for a double layout dismount. Wow, just a small slide, I believe. I know she's really worked on trying to make that a higher dismount, less whippy. I think she did that there.
That ever so slight hop and the ever so slight leg separation. The only real errors there. With that, here comes the penultimate vaulter for the Illini. And Lexi Powell with a little bit of a hop there, the junior.
She gets great amplitude on that vault. She did drill one a couple weeks ago for a 9.9. That should be, won't quite get that number today, but still extremely high, really nice form. Other than the landing, that's what I'd call a perfect vault.
That 9.9 came at the Big 5 event a couple of weeks ago, and so that's a big occasion for this Big 10 side, and that speaks to athletes like her being able to rise to the occasion. They'll certainly want more of that come championship weekend.
Score for Taylor Jensen's in. It's a 9.85. That is a great score.
It is indeed a fantastic score for Taylor Jensen. By my count, that will come in just above her career high of a 9.825. So
what a
Taylor
night.
Jensen will be happy about that one.
Yeah, Bowling Green's really getting a strong uneven bars.
Well, the Falcons are staying competitive early indeed.
It's exactly where they want to be. It's the Illini's best event this year. They want to keep as close as they can in these beginning rotations. Put some pressure on the Illini squad.
So my list says Lily Harsh up at number 5. And that is indeed the case. So for the first time, I am accurate with my identification. Lily Harsh will get things going here. Number 5 of 6 on the uneven bars.
Beautiful handstand. You can see she's got the best lines of the Bowling Green State lineup so far. A Jaeger, you could see it just came off the bar a little bit early, wasn't able to get back on that Jaeger. Unfortunately, he's going to have to count a fall. Obviously not what Bowling Green wanted. They had, unfortunately for them, 4 strong routines before, and they can hopefully pick it up with the next one, but she's going to remount and try and finish the best she can.
Recall that there will be 1 dropped score, the lowest, for each event.
Nice bail to handstand. This is beautiful.
It certainly doesn't mean Lily Harsh is going to want to take this lightly.
It's really unfortunate that fall. She has by far the best lines and swing of the team, and a beautiful stuck dismount. There's a lot to be happy with that routine for Bowling Green. Obviously, they wanted to not have a fall, but that's just a really beautiful bar set.
So Harsh is able to pull it out there, and Araya Simons will close out on the vault for the Fighting Illini.
She's had a bunch of good scores, 3 9.9s and the 9.9s and the 9.85 over the past 4 weeks. And she sticks it again. That is beautiful. If they went 9.925 for Mia Towns, I don't know what they're going to do for that. You can see a perfect 9.95.
You can hear what her teammates think of it there. Araya Simons, who has the death note, if you will, of injuries.
And it's a perfect 9.95 for Araya Simons. That was unbelievable.
So no deductions to be found for Araya Simons. That 9.95 is easily going to best her career high of 9.9. Araya Simons, who has an Achilles tear in her past, has just been so impressive for the Illini ever since that injury, and she has come on strong here, and that career highlight performance right there, a strong way to anchor on the ball for the Fighting Illini.
Absolutely, that's going to be a massive, absolutely for sure, a season-high vault score. Araya hasn't been able to break back into the floor lineup, which was kind of her marquee event, but she's really making it count on vault and bars this year.
With that, we'll see the closer on the bars for the Falcons, Catherine Walbacher.
Huge Jaeger. A little bit of a knee bend, but ginormous height. And then a toe shoot to handstand to a pack salto. We haven't seen one of those today. And unfortunately, she touches the ground, takes an extra swing. That she didn't come off the event, but it's going to count just about the same as a fall. So that's definitely a tough end to what was a really great rotation for Bowling Green State.
She's been able to dust herself off so far. Here's the dismount.
And stuck half and half out. It's not going to quite be as low as a score. I think they'll still be able to drop the 9-0, but obviously a disappointing way to end that rotation.
That's Katie Ewald will exhibition on the vault for the Fighting Illini.
And this is actually a big exhibition. She's going to show us a 10-0 vault. It's a different vault than we've seen. Handspring front pike with a half and a couple steps back, but it's definitely good to see her getting the competition experience. They're going to want to eventually get that into their lineup to have as many 10-0 start values in the lineup as possible. I mentioned that Rutu showed a 10-0 start value. Yurchenko 1.5 last week. Via Towns is capable of it as well. Yeah.
We're going to see Katie Ewald later today with her score counting for the orange and blue, and so a good warm-up there, if you will. The sophomore of Newburgh, Indiana. And head associate coach Stephen Buckner for the Fighting Illini with the team huddled around him.
I believe he was hitting a gritty there in the circle. And senior night starting off with a 49.475. That is almost just below averaging a 9.9 for each athlete. That is an unreal start.
Mark.
Unbelievable.
Mark.
Natalie Walsh is absolutely pleased with that.
The drop on that one is a 9.825. So certainly not too bad to leave off the scorecard.
There's just probably 2 seasons ago, I think the Illini would be happy to be counting a 9.825, breaking in, getting 5 scores in the 9.8 range. Now they're nearly counting all 9.9s. That is a great turnaround for this vault program. Credit to Stephen Buckner, who is their vault coach. I think he's done an amazing job these past couple seasons since he's come to the Illini program from Arizona State.
Walbacher's score is being presented at the moment, and I do believe it is a 9.175, so higher than her predecessor, Lily Harsh. And it's unfortunate because she had a lot of impressive techniques in that routine. It was just the dusting of her feet on that mat that was killer.
Yeah, the technique of the last 2 Bowling Green State bar routines was really, really impressive. The best swingers, they'll swing with really open shoulders and tight form, and basically as extended as you can. You want, some people pike their hips or pike their shoulders, and it won't be a natural swing. You have to muscle it. It was extremely long and natural swing from those last 2. So it was unfortunate for the mistakes. They could have been very high scores, and they're definitely going to work on that going into the MAC championships. They're going to want to have those top scores because they could easily be 9.85 plus scores to end their rotation with, and they're going to need it. There's some talented teams in the MAC this year that they're going to need to stay competitive with a strong bar rotation.
Absolutely. It's a MAC conference loaded with plenty of strong sides, a couple of which we did see last Friday here at Huff Hall. Northern Illinois and Central Michigan putting on strong showings. Boise State here as well. By far the furthest travelers were the Broncos.
Absolutely.
So I thought we were going to see an exhibition on the bars for the Falcons, and
looks like there may be a judges conference. The head judge is in discussing. Sometimes if there's with over 2/10 of discrepancy between the 2 judges, they're going to have to conference and figure out why their scores were so far off. Sometimes if they struggle with trying to make up the difference, the head judge will come in, who essentially judges every routine, and will kind of clear up the discrepancy so the judges are closer together. So it looks like they're conferencing and they're revising her score slightly.
So they might get a couple of fractions back, will the Falcons. As of right now, it's a 9.175, and the scoreboard is disappearing without immediate replacement.
Next up for Bowling Green on bars, Tess Muir.
We will indeed see an
Exhibition.
exhibition.
Nice straight body cast. She didn't straddle her legs, which you see a lot of people do. Blindfold to the bail.
Oh, just missed short there.
She was short on that bail to handstand on the low bar, so she couldn't get her feet on quite quick enough to give her the height she needed to get back to the high bar on that toe shoot. So that's unfortunate. A lot of the gymnastics there just seemed a little bit rushed. She was a little short on the handstand on the high bar. It's caused her to be short on the low bar, which then again in turn led into the issue on the release up to the high bar. So line gymnastics, especially on bars, it's one skill after another, and you need to stay patient and It's because mistakes can lead into the next skill. Another blind full there into the double tuck. Finishes strong.
She at least gets a good dismount there.
Yes.
When you're an exhibition athlete, surely, I mean, there's pressure off of you since your score won't show up on the scoreboard, so there's that looseness, but as you were alluding to, a little bit of a rushed routine there from Weir. That was her downfall on the fall. So it's that important balance when you're on the exhibition because you're trying to find your way into the team.
Yeah, absolutely. The exhibition spot's great. It gets you a little bit more nerves than you get in practice, and you can kind of show off to the coaches, this is what I would score, because the judges are truly judging it equally to everybody else, and that you can show that you can operate under pressure. So it's a good experience for the athletes to go in and show off their routines. Unfortunately, it didn't quite go well for her there, but hopefully in the next coming weeks, coming into conference championships, maybe she can squeak her way into that bar lineup.
So once again, a disappointing conclusion there. The head coach, as you can see for Bowling Green, conferring. Carrie Turner in the orange scarf, and I believe it's Sunny Marchand for the Bowling Green State Falcons along her side, who has been conferring with a lot of the athletes pre and post routine as well as during falls. So we're in the midst of the first transition period here as the Fighting Illini prepare to take on the uneven bars. You can see that graphic in the bottom right of your screen. The Illinois Fighting Illini leading by 1.1, so certainly not an insurmountable gap, and it was heading to be a lot closer after those first 4 scores for each team, but coupled with a couple of mistakes for the Falcons, it was a couple of very strong closing performances for the Fighting Illini that was able to establish this lead early here.
Yeah, coupled with a couple stuck vaults and really big Yurchenko fulls. That's the highest vault score since I've been at the University of Illinois, so 3 seasons. So that's definitely something to be happy about. I'm sure it'll go back even farther than that. As I mentioned, even prior to Natalie Walsh, vault has never been known to be Illinois' best event in the past 5 or so years. So they're really, really combating that narrative and showing off that they have some big vaults and they can stick landings. So that's really impressive, which they're going to need going into the Big Ten championships with Minnesota and Michigan showing off a lot of 10-0 start value vaults. They're going to need to stick their vaults because they're not the 10-0 start. They need to get ahead of those other teams in stuck landings, which they showed that they absolutely can this year. Just about every person in their lineup has a career high of 9.875 or higher, which is absolutely massive scores because the Minnesota and Michigan, those top teams, Michigan State even this year, are pushing that 198 mark, which Illinois hasn't reached yet this season. So with that first score, if they're on track to have a really big number, hopefully they can keep it up on bars.
You can see the insights that my partner brings here this evening. He goes a long way back with this Illinois program, and I say that sort of in jest, but as a junior, I mean, with the revitalization of this program that we've seen for the women's gymnastics side of UIUC, you certainly have seen a lot in your day, practicing at times alongside these athletes, and so certainly a lot to offer.
Coupled with some great recruiting classes and just the new, Natalie Walsh has only been here 5 years. Caitlin Betts, the bar coach, and Stephen Buckner have only been here, I think this is their 3rd season, so it's still a relatively new coaching staff, and they're finally getting their own recruits, and it's really starting to pay off. You see a lot of big numbers coming in, they had a lot of routines lost. Nicole Biondi was an all-arounder last year, Kylie Noonan on beam and floor, and then Shayla Scott we're honoring today here as a senior, but she unfortunately had to medically retire. She was a mainstay in vault, beam, and floor, so they had a lot of routines to replace, and this freshman class is doing that in spades, so it's really exciting to see this team flourish the way it has.
You alluded to Shayla Scott, who, as you said, will not be competing this year, and you alluded to her honor as well, as we will have senior day ceremonies. Stick around after the meet is over if you would like to watch the Illini honor day. So the transition period has concluded. We're going to see warm-ups here for this event. We'll step aside for just a couple of minutes here. UIUC versus Bowling Green here at Huff Hall, Thursday night, college women's gymnastics. We'll be right back.
There's Johnny. First person to get to him in front of the stands with the following item wins an Illinois prize pack. The item we're looking for today is an Illinois driver's license. First person to get an Illinois driver's license to Johnny gets an Illinois prize pack.
We welcome you back here to Huff Hall here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. The Fighting Illini hosting the Bowling Green State Falcons in this Thursday night dual meet. And it has just been confirmed the 49.475 representative of the vault rotation for the Illini, a program record. 2 years ago, that mark just did not seem attainable for this Illini side.
No, coming back to 2 years ago, 49-0 was an achievement for this Illini squad. So seeing the growth of this vault squad is truly amazing. It's really just the development of their gymnastics, their technique. They've worked so hard in the gym. It's really the same vaulters that we've had for the past couple years. They've just really worked hard in the off season to become competitive. That's all, credit to the athletes, the grit they've shown. They really want to be competitive in the Big Ten. It's every year the Big Ten's becoming more and more of a power conference in the women's gymnastics. It hasn't always been. Usually kind of dominated by the SEC and Big 12. So seeing the Big Ten, the level of gymnastics rise, Illinois has worked super hard to stay current with it, and it's showing off in that vault lineup.
It is a precedent-setting mark, for the Illini. Nothing for Bowling Green to be ashamed of. Their first 4 uneven bars scores right up there with the high-scoring Illini on the vault, so they'll hope to put that sour ending behind them as they approach the vault here. That will be started by Lauren Bannister, Sydney Bennett, Lily Harsh, Catherine Walbacher, Katrina Mendez-Abolnik, and Taylor Jensen will be featuring on the vault for the Falcons. Meanwhile, the Fighting Illini on the uneven bars. We'll start with Rachel Borden, Araya Simons, Mallory Mizuki, Olivia O'Donnell, Amelia Knight, and then anchored by Mia Takakawa, who is pursuing the all-around mark today. So we're just a few moments away here. Rachel Borden about to get started here. Rachel Borden, what a story for this graduate student of the Illini. She will be honored tonight. And Rachel Borden, you can describe her in a lot of different ways before you call her a fantastic gymnast.
Absolutely. Coming on, she was a manager of the team. She worked hard on the club team, and I think it was the 2019 season. She sent some videos to Natalie Walsh and said, hey, this is what I was working on. And she was like, wow, our beam line, I could really use that. So she brought her up. Only competed a couple times before she found herself at the Big Ten Championships, where Illinois placed second. She's been a mainstay in that beam lineup, has added bars last season in. So she's been an extremely strong asset for the team, especially coming back for an extra year this year.
Absolutely. So we'll see Borden in just a moment first. Lauren Bannister will kick things off for the Bowling Green State Falcons on the vault.
She's coming back from an Achilles tear, so happy to see her back in the lineup. Should be a Yurchenko layout full, and it was a big one. Unable to control the landing, but she's been switching off from a tucked Yurchenko full, so with bent knees in the layout. That looked like to me that she was competing the layout full for years, so that's really impressive vault. If she can dial in that landing, that's going to be a massive score for them.
A pretty substantial hop, but a very solid showing nonetheless, especially when you consider her injury history. So great work there by Lauren Bannister, and we've seen a couple of athletes who have recovered from Achilles tears already featured today. So great to see there for anybody, for whatever allegiance you're part of for this evening. So with that, we will see Rachel Borden, viral sensation, incredibly resilient athlete. She'll get things going here on the uneven bars, on which she set a 9.875 career high a little bit over a month ago.
Yeah, and Rachel Borden is a mainstay as the leadoff. She's just known she's going to hit this set almost guaranteed, which is what you need in the leadoff.
Oh,
unfortunately, you could see she was a little bit far on the Jaeger. Thought she was going to be able to get back to the bar.
So she's going to regain her balance, I think. They're making sure it was an awkward fall, and they're going to make sure that she's okay to continue. We'll see for just these few seconds. It's 30 seconds. Is that correct? That they get to return to their routine?
I believe it is 45 now. So
seconds.
They've upped it in the elite world, where you'll be seeing the likes of Simone Biles competing. It's a little more restrictive with the 30 seconds, but in college you'll get 45, which I think it's complete nonsense that you only have 30 seconds in normal gymnastics. I don't really see what the rush is, but I like 45 in women's. She's gonna mount. See if she'll try. I don't believe she's going to try. She is going to go for the Jaeger again. That's good. Just a little bit off today, unfortunately.
I think the bar is just maybe a little bit taller than usual. We saw a couple falls for the Falcons, and it looks like it's it's gonna be the same for the Fighting Illini. So
yeah, in gymnastics, little changes make in your actual gymnastics make big results at the end. So she just a little change today in the way she's swinging can really come off differently in the actual release. So looks like she was just coming off a little bit early today. It's unfortunate. Nice bail to the low bar. She's going to finish off with a unique dismounts, a front 1.5 twist. Really unfortunate for Rachel Borden. I don't know if I've ever seen her miss a bar set before. So definitely not the way she wanted that to go, but she's going to have a beam routine right after that to regain her composure. And she's going to cheer on her team to try and pick up from her error.
With her experience, you have to count on if anybody's going to be able to rebound with a fantastic routine afterwards, it'll be Rachel Borden.
Absolutely.
With that, Sydney Bennett, the second vaulter for the Falcons.
This is the first time she has competed a Yurchenko layout full. She's competed a tuck full, made her collegiate debut against Kent State. So going for that 9.95 start value, and that was a great vault. I wouldn't have known she's never competed that before.
She debuted just, I believe, 3 weeks ago against Kentucky State. And that's a pretty solid vault. She has a career high of 9.675 in her young career on the vault. A sophomore of Denver, North Carolina.
I believe she did just beat that career high. That was really impressive. I heard she was going to do the upgrade. I was interested to see how it go, and went, and it was really well done.
Very impressive from Sydney Bennett, working her way into the team rotation. She's been a vault specialist the last few weeks, and I think that's going to solidify her position for that little bit more. So with that, we're going to see the second bars athlete, and it is Araya Simons, at least on the listed roster.
I do believe I see her ready to go. She just made her bar lineup debut. She competed a couple times last season, and obviously did have that Achilles tear that ended her season, but she's back in contributing on vault, and now just added bars back in last weekend. So with a 9.9, so it's a really impressive debut for her this season. So obviously with the falls from Rachel Borden, they're going to want a very similar performance.
Margin of error has been reduced to essentially nothing for the Fighting Illini. The bar score, I think, is still being conferred upon, and that won't, obviously it probably will not make the scorecard. It's an uncharacteristic performance from Borden, who, once again, it takes nothing away from how impressive of a career and of a person that she is.
Absolutely.
So the score, while it will be relatively low, it's going to give an opportunity for the following 5 bars athletes to rise to the challenge here.
Yeah, the Illini have an unbelievable first rotation on vault, so if they can keep that up, they definitely need 5 good scores here because they're really on pace for a large number as a team. They have huge momentum the past coming weeks. Struggled a little bit with getting their stride on balance beam, but they've got Mia Towns back in that lineup, and they hit 6 for 6 last weekend with a pretty big team score, so they're really finding solid lineups on all 4 events. And ideally by this point in the season, you don't want to have too much variance. You want to get consistency and honestly what I call chemistry with that lineup. You want to have the same feeling each weekend. You know that person's going to go up, and you've seen them hit time and time again. That's what you need going into the postseason.
Just another couple of moments here. Araya Simons showing great patience. Moment of pause, not normal. It is fair to say.
With those couple errors, that gives more room for the judges to be off in their scores. There's probably could have been a start value discrepancy as well. Since she didn't catch that release, she wasn't going to start out of a 10, and then just more errors means more deductions, unfortunately, and the judges might have just been a little farther off than they would have normally been, so they had a conference with the head judge. They're still trying to figure out the score, it seems like.
They won't begin the next routine until this first score is decided. They want to make sure there's no bias whatsoever in the assessment, and so
the NCAA sets standards of how far apart you can be on the scores depending on the range it's at. They're required to, if it's out of a certain range, to come back together and find a closer number.
And you can appreciate the safeguard because obviously when you're in the amateur ranks, the club gymnastics routines, I'm sure every single athlete here can tell you about an experience in which a judge seemed way far off, maybe just inexperienced, whatever the case may be. There wasn't quite that cushion, if you will, or that sort of security in the judges having to be so close to each other without fair deliberation, and so you can appreciate that standard. It just does slow things down by a few minutes, but it does appear we do finally have a score, and officially, I do believe it was 7-7-5 for Rachel Borden. So again, it's not going to be her finest day, but she's going to try to shake it off with a balance beam.
It's a chance for Araya Simon to show off her mental toughness here. She's got a really big combination here. Toe shoot to handstand into a toe on Tkachev. There's Araya. She gets back. Really, that was a reach. I was worried she wasn't going to get back to the bar there, but that was an impressive show of grit for her because they need this number.
It's a big-time routine. She doesn't quite reach the handstand, but here preparing a dismount, she gets a stick, so that is just the perfect way to respond.
You could see she was a little bit nervous in that routine. Wasn't quite going for the handstands the way we know she's capable of, but she was going out there, and her goal was to hit that set. She did. She got the Illini back on track. It's exactly what they needed to. It might not be the 9-9 she got last week, but it'll still be absolutely a score they're willing to count.
So after a few minutes extra of waiting, Lily Harsh steps up on the vaults.
Another Yurchenko full. Really nice height. It got kind of hung up in the air, so she had to pike her hips. The Yurchenko layup full, you expect that the body stays completely straight, so any bend in the hips is going to be a deduction. That was kind of a major bend, so it'll probably be somewhere in the 10th to 10th and a half range. So while it was really high and nicely done, it might not be the score that one might expect just on first glance. Leading off with it was a 9.775, I believe, for Sydney Bennett for her debut of that vault. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
And that does easily beat her young career high.
Looks Araya Simon still was able to notch a 9.875, so just about anything the judges found off was just in those two cast handstands that are a little bit short. So that's really, really exciting that they were able to get back on track because they need it.
A couple of moments of redemption for each of these teams. The Falcons through Lily Harsh, who fell in her own bars routine, was able to put on a strong vault. And here's Mallory Mizuki, another one of the seniors that will be honored. It's another slick bar.
Yeah, you can see she came off a little bit early. Mallory does have a tendency to catch far. She tends to be able to hold on. That's really unfortunate because she, like some of the Bowling Green State girls, has impeccable lines. She has the straightest body swing out of really anybody in this room probably, so it's really unfortunate. There's a massive release move, so that fall is going to hurt the Illini and just a little bit of the pride, unfortunately, especially Mallory's another senior for the Illini squad. She's going to come up. She got her hands on the bar, so I believe she gets credit, but she looks like she's going to repeat here. Another beautiful cast handstand. Try and hold the heels up a little bit more. She got it that time. You can see she's a little bit closer. Another beautiful cast handstand. Failed a handstand.
Lifting the crowd and her teammates a little bit there.
Yeah, she's just trying to minimize here at this point. Stop the bleeding for the Illini. Another beautiful cast handstand. I don't hope the people at home can appreciate the swing. Hung it out a little bit on the dismount, not as high as she can do. A little step. She minimized the deductions to the best of her ability. Obviously, that's going to be a disappointing counted fall, especially coming off that program high vault rotation. So, the Illini had like a 49.475, I believe it was on bars last weekend, so it was third highest for them. Another Yurchenko full here. It's quite well done. Again, a little bit of a pike in the hips and the step. Not the same amplitude we saw from the Illini squad, but I think Bowling Green and head coach Kerry Turner is just going to be happy that they're going to have 6 9.95 start value vaults, which they haven't done this season, so that's exciting for them.
Catherine Walbacher there with a strong vault at the number 4 slot. So you're seeing the first two scores there is Mallory Mizuki's. There's a chance this may be deliberated for a couple extra moments. There was another fall, so it does leave the score open to potentially greater discrepancy. So it's a bit of an awkward rhythm to the second rotation for both teams, and how do you overcome something like this? Do you have to try to keep that intensity as high as possible even for those few minutes of waiting? Or are you trying to stay loose? What's the strategy?
I think honestly it depends on your role. Right now if you're Olivia O'Donnell about to enter, start her routine, she's just trying to stay cool, calm, and collected, as I know Olivia O'Donnell to be. Just stay focused, and know what she can do, what she does in the gym every single day. I dare say she's one of the most consistent bar workers in the country. So if there's someone that I want to send up after a mistake, a couple mistakes like this, it'd be Olivia O'Donnell. They're going to hope she's going to get her back on track. They need the people on the sidelines, her teammates, to lift them up, keep the vibes high, because it's really tough, obviously, to watch two seniors come down like that.
The junior of Evanston, Illinois.
Beautiful Jaeger to bail, a little bit low on the transition to low bar, but she stayed on. That's really what they need. Giant full right on top, within the 10 degrees, and a stuck dismount. Like I said, Olivia O'Donnell's been on fire this year on the lead bars. Broken 9-9 a couple times, so yeah, she's been incredibly consistent in that. Every year she's been here, she's a junior. I don't think she's ever missed a bar lineup, and she's hit just about every time. So she's a staple for them.
With a double fist pump upon her stuck landing, that's a big-time performance. Molly Mizuki with a 9.325, a relatively high score when you consider that she did fall.
Yeah,
we'll see what Olivia O'Donnell will score. In the meantime, the penultimate vaulter for the Falcons.
A big Yurchenko full. Wow, that was massive. Not allowed to deduct there. A little bit of a bend in the hips and a small slide back. You can kind of see how quickly the judges get the score back to the score flashers. You can know how little deducted and how quickly they were able to get that score down. So 9.85 from one. I believe it went 9.85, so that's a massive number, especially if she could get that landing down. She can start touching the 9.9.
She was incredibly composed upon her dismount, and Katrina Mendez-Obolnik putting up another big number. And speaking of big numbers, Olivia O'Donnell
threw a 10 for Olivia O'Donnell.
A 9.925 for the Evanston, Illinois junior.
Quite a big split between the judges. One judge went 9.85, and one judge went 10. As I said, they can split up to 2/10. Still, a 9.925 is a massive number. Amelia Knight is a beautiful bar swinger. She hails from the UK. She was an elite level gymnast. Beautiful swing. Bail to the low bar there. Gonna finish off with another full pirouette into the double tuck dismount. Right on top. She's really good at hitting that hit. And a massive double tuck. Just a small hop forward. Call that a college stick. Tried to fake it a little bit. Not sure the judges will fall for it, unfortunately, but
it's the savviness innate to every gymnast, trying to minimize the obviousness, if you will. But Amelia Knight, the senior English international gymnast, a title that she and not a lot of others can boast, especially in the NCAA. So the sophomore of Bristol, Great Britain, with a nice routine there to anchor on the vault. Here is Taylor Jensen of the Falcons.
Taylor Jensen has, in my opinion, Bowling Green's probably her best vault, highest amplitude off the table, best form. Really nicely done. Not as high as I've seen her doing, a pretty big step back. So a small step will do a half-tenth deduction. That one's going to be a 10th for sure.
It's a 9.875 career high that she was pursuing, so maybe in the neighborhood. Might not quite reach the mark.
Yeah, won't quite notch that. A little bit too big of a step. We've got Mia Takakawa mounting the uneven bars.
Once again, Mia Takakawa, an all-arounder this evening.
Quite a reach on that Pike Jaeger. She is a pro at catching releases that I don't think it's physically possible to catch. So, but she is just perfection in motion on bars. How extended her shoulders are. Perfect handstand so far. She's really improved this double layout dismount. Can she get a stick? And she did. If they threw a 10 for Olivia O'Donnell, I'm extremely excited to see what number that goes.
You can see the excitement on the Illini's faces. I'm sure Rachel Borden is among the most excited, as is Mallory Mizuki. It shows the camaraderie among the orange and blue after the unfortunate falls that they've been having to build off of. But that's great work there. And we'll see how far off the 10 mark.
Trying to read the lips of the judges to see what numbers they're telling the score flashers.
Potentially it's I see a 9.9 on one side.
It was a 9.9 from the judge went 10 for Olivia, went 9.9 for Mia. So not going to be a 10 today, but that was a pretty massive bar score. 9.95, so the judge that did not give you Olivia O'Donnell a 10 gave it to Mia Takakawa, interestingly enough. So a 10 and a 9.9 split. So that will be a career high for Mia Takakawa. Super excited to see some 10s thrown, and then obviously a perfect score for Araya Simons on vault. It's been a pretty good night.
Day indeed. And
fortunately, just that fall for Mallory and Rachel Borden. Still gonna salvage that rotation with a fairly decent score. Still, it's gonna be a 48.925, which is just about what they scored a couple weeks ago against Rutgers, so without any falls.
And it's just about what Bowling Green notched as well, a 48.95 and a 48.925 for the Illini. So it's proven to be a difficult event. Exhibitionist Katie Ewald will rise to the challenge now.
Yeah, Katie found herself in lineup most of the preseason. She's a really great option. She has a pretty large career high of over 9.9 as well. Just looking at Araya in training, I think they've just decided to go with her. She's looked good, but they're both excellent options. A Jaeger on the high bar, which we've seen a lot of people do in the pack salto down. Another beautifully hit Hansen. She's going to do a tucked full out dismount. So hopefully she can find the landing. She's pretty good at sticking it. A little bit off early on the bar, so she had to take a step forward, but it's a very usable bar score. They could slide into the lineup out, especially after having a couple falls. Maybe they're looking to shuffle it up a little bit. But I wouldn't, if I were the Illini, I wouldn't be worried about this rotation. They've really, really found a stride in that bar lineup, scored 49.4 twice this season, which is a pretty impeccable score. They have some great bar swingers. So coming into Big Tens, I wouldn't change a whole lot. They're going to go back and iron out those little details, work on a couple extra releases to make sure they're on the bar when they need them to be. But I think today is just absolutely just a fluke for those two seniors. Maybe a little extra pressure wanting to perform for senior night. Yeah, not a whole lot to be concerned about. Still a very usable score. With a couple good rotations here, they're still on track to go 197, just about a little bit below that. But going to beam, they have a really nice beam squad. They're happy to have Mia Towns back on that. So I'm hoping to see a 6-6 again. They had a couple struggles earlier in the year, counting a couple falls on beam, but I think they've really, the tide has turned for that beam squad, and they've had some pretty solid beam lineups. So I'm hoping to see that again.
So with that, we will prepare for the second half. Floor routines will begin, and it's going to be party time here at Huff Hall. In the meantime, we'll step aside for just a couple of moments here on Big Ten Plus College Women's Gymnastics here at the University of Illinois.
The 2-minute transition period is now over. 4-minute touch period will now begin. Illinois will be on medium. Bowling Green will be on 4. Make your best friend an official member of the Fighting Illini family by signing him up for the Oski Pet Club membership, including an exclusive collar tag, bowl, mat, membership certificate, and more. With a portion of the proceeds benefiting local animal shelters. Sign up your pet today at fightingillini.com/Oski Pet Club.
We welcome you back to Huff Hall here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. We thank you for joining us this Thursday evening. It's Alec Gilmore alongside Connor McCool here at Huff Hall, where the University of Illinois Fighting Illini are taking on the Bowling Green State University Falcons of the MAC. So Connor, it's been quite the meet so far. The Fighting Illini setting a program best at the vault for their first rotation of 49.475. The Falcons on the bar simultaneously suffering a couple of falls, and that trend would continue for the Illini, who saw a couple of falls on their own, unfortunately. So it's kept for a pretty close meet. As we enter the second half, resiliency for both of these teams is the name of the game.
Yeah, absolutely, especially for the Illini. They've struggled a little bit with their beam lineup, kind of. They lost half of their competitive lineup from last year, so a lot to replace. So they struggled to find some consistency in a good hitting lineup. Past couple meets have been far superior. So coming in after counting a fall on bar, still managing to salvage a pretty usable score of 48.925. So coming off, they really need 5 good hit beam sets. Right now coming in, obviously Mia Takakawa anchoring that lineup. Perfect 10 in her freshman year. So there's not a lot of people I would want to anchor my lineup other than her. So should make for a good rotation. Bowling Green's also, I'd say, probably their strongest event would be the floor exercise. They have a couple difficult passes. In gymnastics, skills are rated A through E. They've got a couple E passes, as do the Illini. So I think it'll be a really good rotation.
We'll see what the Illini can produce on the balance beam. They'll be competing through Rachel Borden as she tries to respond to a subpar, certainly by her standards, uneven bars routine. Mallory Mizuki will be second, Abby Miller in third, Mia Towns, Amelia Knight, and Mia Takakawa. So for all 6 of these athletes, not the first run of the day. Meanwhile, for the Falcons on the floor, Katrina Mendez-Abolnik, Taylor Jensen, Lauren Bannister, Lily Harsh, Brooke McNamara for the first time today, before Catherine Walbacher anchors it. So we're just about a minute away from rotation number 3 getting started here, and that means floor routines will get going. I'm joined once again by Connor McCool, who not only is a member of the Illinois men's gymnastics side, but is also, I would say, relatively accomplished on the floor routine side of things, an All-American honoree. So we'll be looking forward to the insights that Connor will provide on the floor. He's provided some great ones already today, so it's made for a fun meet with, like I said, a lot of expertise being provided here for this broadcast here on Big Ten Plus. So we're just a few seconds away now, about 10 to be exact, from the PA announcing things to get started. Once again, it is the Bowling Green State Falcons that will be on the floor, and here on the balance beam, it will be the Fighting Illini. So we will once again see Rachel Borden, who will want to turn in a better beam performance than that on the bars. Rachel Borden with a viral balance beam routine that was one of the many things that launched her into stardom among the University of Illinois and gymnasts throughout the country. So we'll be looking forward to see what the 5th-year graduate student has to show. She's getting encouraged by head coach Natalie Walsh, and like I said, a postgraduate student, so she has a wealth of experience at her disposal. She has grounded out throughout her career, formerly a club gymnast and team manager for the very team she competes for today. We'll see if she can tap into that grit that has been characteristic of her career.
Rachel Borden.
Yeah, incredible student, obviously, and then coming on that incredible story, walking onto the team. She's an AAI Award finalist, which is the equivalent of Heisman of sorts for women's gymnastics. So an incredible honor for her to be considered mounting the beam. She does a pretty unique combination here to start. This is her series, one of the requirements, a front aerial, front handspring into a straddle quarter. She wobbled a little bit, but what was important, she never stopped moving, so she's still going to get credit for that. If she stopped moving at any point in that, during that wobble, she would have lost a requirement with having a series and connection bonus. So it would have been pretty detrimental to her start value. Since she was able to fight through being a little bit off, she's still going to start out of a 10, which is important and really salvage for me. It's going to be a very minor reduction.
There's the grin on the face of Rachel Borden. She's had a good start. It's building up to the dismount here.
Takes a level of expertise and confidence on beam to feel comfortable smiling. Absolutely, there's a lot to be worried about, a lot that could go wrong. Little things could make big changes. Here's the front full dismount. She just a small slide. I don't even, a micro slide on the landing, just about a stuck dismount, but obviously that's a great rebound for her. A really rough bar set for her, unfortunately, but she rebounded with a beautiful beam set. I'm super happy to see that for her.
I would certainly be happy with that if I'm the Fighting Illini. Rachel Borden, I didn't want to say anything during the routine, but she looked very comfortable, especially for somebody on the balance beam, especially for somebody that had the unfortunate bars routine that she grounded out through. So with that, we will start on the floor. The music will change, and we are going to see Katrina Mendez-Obolnik light up Huff Hall here.
She's a great leadoff for Bowling Green State. One thing I want everyone to pay attention to is her form. She's great dance and just great overall presentation of this routine, and her tumbling passes are really well executed.
Gearing up for the first pass, Matt greeting her at the other end.
A double pike, really well done. Straight legs, pointed toes, and a double pike. When I'm doing the double pike, the last thing I'm thinking about is pointing my toes. So that's really impressive.
Seeing some of that little bit extra flair in the choreography.
Yeah, there's her leap series. Switch side into a straddle full. Everybody on those leaps are expected to hit 180 degrees. She's a touch short of that, especially right in front of the judges. It'll probably get a little bit of a deduction, but the tumbling is really her strong suit. She's going to go for a back 1.5, or front layout, front full, excuse me. Really well done. A little bit of knee form, but she's a very, very powerful tumbler, and you're seeing that here. She's great technique, which you can attribute to her power. Very popular music choice. You'll hear it again from Abby Miller next rotation.
Well, indeed, and it certainly gets the blood flowing, as will this final pass here.
She's going to finish off with a double tuck. Doing a double flipping skill in the last tumbling pass gives you a 10th bonus. You'll see a lot of people attempt to do that. It's not easy. She does it really well.
Yes, she does indeed. What a closer for Mendez-Obolnik to open up the account on the floor. She's been very specific about her aspirations, would like to be a business owner in the Miami area someday, does the Bristow, Virginia native. Regardless of where she ends up, that floor routine certainly get things in the right direction for the Falcons in what is still a tightly contested meet.
All right, looks like they had a little bit of a start value question, I believe, on Rachel Borden, but they resolved it. She was still able to get the 10-0 start, which I mentioned because she kept moving through that series. A 98.25 with a couple wobbles and a hop is a pretty respectable score and a great leadoff for them. Get some momentum going for Mallory Mizuki here. She's a little newer to the beam lineup, but has had some pretty impressive performances this year.
She, once again, will be one of the seniors honored tonight, the Shelby Township, Michigan native. Like her predecessor on the beam, a chemical engineering major.
One thing that really sticks out for Mallory is her form. Straight legs, pointed toes, 180-degree leaps, and just about everything she does. You won't really find her in an off position. Tiny wobble on that full turn, but she somehow made it look elegant anyway. Going into her series, a back handspring layout step out, a pretty popular one you'll see today. Gets her arms up quick back over the center of the beam, so she's able to go without a wobble.
Does that about as well as you can, does Mizuki.
She's going to enter into her leaps, switch leap, and a straddle 3/4. That is a difficult D-level leap. You lose sight of the beam really and try and land on sideways. Not easy. It's worth a lot of start value. So her able to connect that is important. Cat leap into the aerial, flawless, I'd say. She's going to finish it. She's essentially done. Got most of her bonus out of the way. She's just going to finish off with what seems like a pretty easy dismount, a gainer pike, but going that way on the beam is not easy. And that was a stunning beam routine. Really just one slight bobble I saw. I wouldn't be surprised to see if that cracked the 9.9. I don't believe she's done that. The team's chanting 10. I would love to see a 10 for senior Mallory Mizuki on a senior night. We'll see.
Mizuki did achieve last year a 9.925 at the Big 5 meet, but that is certainly within reach, I would say, for Mizuki. Again, the senior of Shelby Township, Michigan. Debuted on the uneven bars in January against Nebraska and looked like a natural there. With that, we're going to see the second floor routine of the day, and it will be through Taylor Jensen.
Yeah, she's going to lead us off with one of those E tumbling passes I was referring to. It's a front double full. Doesn't maybe look as difficult as the double flipping one, but it's more technically complicated. The forward tumbling is incentivized in the NCAA rules. See her, a layout front Rudy. So not the E-tumbling pass, that's a difficult combination. So everybody needs a combination in their routine, and she led off with it. A little bit short, she had to pipe down. You want to land with your chest up and take a step backwards. She was forward, so it's going to be a little bit of a deduction. And then in the leaps there, a little bit of knee form and lacking of the 180-degree split, but got it squarely around and will get credit for those, which is important for her start value.
Final dismount. Taylor Jensen with a strong run up.
Ground of hamstring double tuck. Carpal steps back and a fall out of bounds, unfortunately. Not the routine they were looking for. She started off a little bit short on the first pass. She might have been going a little bit conservative, so she tried to go a little harder for that second one. I think she just might have overdone it. It's unfortunate. One thing with the 4-inch mats that you see in the corner, they do help soften the low, but sometimes they can actually just cause landing errors. You can trip over them. So some people prefer just to go back down onto the floor. It might be a little bit harder on the body, but easier to stick the landing.
And I was just going to ask about the mats. Is that a deduction, and when do those mats go away?
So not a deduction. You can have up to two on the floor at a time. So as long as you don't have one in for all 3 passes, if you choose to do 3, you can take them off and put another one on. So there's no deductions for the athlete's safety. And gymnastics obviously is hard on the body, so they want to take steps to make it a little bit easier for a long season like this, especially a team like Illinois has 2 meets this weekend. Trying to just find some consistency in their athletic training and just rehab. So
here comes Abby Miller on the balance beam for the Illini.
Small bobble on the full, but she got recovered quickly on the back hamstring layout step out. Got her hands up quickly over the beam. That's important, and that's important to stay. What could be a wobble, you can kind of save it and cover it well enough that the judges maybe are convinced that it wasn't a wobble. She did a pretty good job of that, especially judges sitting on the side. Our angle is a little bit more in front.
Obstructed, but we can, thanks to the monitor and this student crew, able to get a good view of this.
Beat jump into a front toss. Really good to stay on the beam. A lot of people might have just given up and hopped off, but she fought hard. Knowing that they counted a fall in the last event, hit routines on beam, take the pressure off their anchor, Mia Takakawa, would be great. Round off 1.5 dismount, and just about a stick. Pretty good routine, a couple little bobbles here and there, but it's a hit, which is what the Illini need. They have their heavy hitters coming in the back. Mallory Mizuki matched her career high with a 9.925 that came in, so that's really exciting. Bumps the score for the people in the back like Amelia Knight and Mia Takakawa, who are pushing those 9.9s as well.
That is indeed fantastic work for Mizuki, and Abby Miller with one of the biggest smiles on this Illini side gets another surely strong score of these first 2. She will hand off the sticking stick off your screen, and on your screen the floor continues. It is Lauren Bannister.
I believe actually they've switched up the lineup again. They announced Taylor Jensen.
Okay,
that's who we
so
were expecting last time.
Lauren Bannister must have gone previously. I beg your pardon. Here is Taylor Jensen.
So she's going to start out with the E-pass I was referring to, the front double full.
Jensen is coming off a career high all-around score. She is competing once again, but 6 days ago at Ohio State, able to manage a 39.35.
Up here, handspring. There's the front double full. Just got the twist around a little bit deep on the landing. You want to see her finish a little bit taller and take a nice controlled step forward. She kind of just got it around. Will be a minor deduction. Still a very difficult pass that the judges will appreciate.
You can see the focus and stoicism. A lot of gymnasts will offer smiling, and
she's committed to this performance. Her performance quality is pretty unmatched. She's really taking on a character here. As I mentioned, the leaps have been kind of a weak point for Bowling Green, but those were stunning. 180 degrees on all three of them, switch side into a popa. So really well done. Showed off her flexibility that I think is definitely a strong suit for her. Finishing off with a back 1.5 to front layout. That was an impressive save. I thought she was going to absolutely sit that down, but she stayed tight, stayed calm, was able to get it to her feet. Will be the deduction, but absolutely less than what a fall would have been.
Yeah,
so
even if it's not going to score as high, still incredibly impressive by Jensen to stay on her feet and prevent that larger deduction.
Yeah, obviously following, they had a fall early in the rotation. They want to salvage this rotation without counting a fall, so she worked hard to make sure that didn't happen.
It's Mia Towns' turn now on the balance beam, number 4. She's already had a very strong vault performance today. Towns will, of course, look to follow that up here on the perilous balance beam.
She is a steady balance beam performer. Cat leap into a front toss. She came off on that in the touch warm-up right before this, so I'm happy to see her nail it there. The confidence she exudes up on the beam is really unmatched. I don't think anybody in this arena has any question on whether or not she's going to hit this set, which is exactly what Natalie Walsh preaches to the athlete. She likes to have confident gymnasts up on the beam. That is her trademark, is teaching the facial expressions and showing to the judges that I know what I'm doing and I'm going to hit this set. And here's her series back cantering layout. Really well done. Super solid. She had a little bit of soft knees. So might take a little bit for that. Slight waver on the full turn, but still.
Just a little bit of flair in the routine.
Busting out the dance moves. Choreography on beam. Some people don't take it to the levels that I think Natalie Walsh teaches her athletes in Illinois, but I think it's appreciated by the fans and the judges. Aerial tuck full. It's a combination dismount we haven't seen yet. Really well done. So just the bobble on the full turn, and that was just about all I saw.
I think we could see a potential 9.9 showing.
I hope so. I think her career high is in the 9.875, which she has reached last year and this year, I think early in this competition season. So she could break into the 9.9s. There really wasn't a whole lot to deduct, just a little bit of form. And the smallest of bobbles, both would be minor half-tenth deduction. So if that's all the judges saw, I could absolutely see a 9.9 coming up there. Obviously, the judges are more trained than I am in the judging world. Women's gymnastics is slightly different than the men's world, but the overall basics of the judging in the sport are the same.
Towns' best is indeed a 9.875, and we're moments away from finding out. Taylor Jensen's score, it just came up, a 9.325 for the Falcons, so that's a little bit lower than I was expecting.
Yeah, I was expecting it to maybe break the 9.5. Being that low, they can take a deduction for the actual skill that she almost fell on being low, and then the deep squat on the line, you need to land up and down. So not ideal for the Bowling Green State. It would have been lower if she had fallen.
We saw some thrills among the Illini gymnasts, potentially alluding to Mia Towns' score. We'll update you in just one moment. In the meantime,
led off with a difficult D-leap, a Wolf 1.5. She got it around. That one's difficult to get credit for. She's going to lead off with a nice double tuck. What we saw there is a little bit of what we call a cowboy. She pulled her legs apart. It's going to be a little bit of a deduction, but still pretty well controlled. Switch half into a popa. One thing you'll see from some athletes is they don't quite complete the leaps or they overturn, so you're not quite sure which one it is. They kind of merge together. That was an interesting choreography.
Very
move. I appreciated it.
If you looked away and looked back, it may not have looked intentional, but
yeah,
taking just as much discipline as is her keeping her heel in bounds there. Just not even an inch away from the boundary.
Front lay, front full. Nice finish to her routine. So she only did 2 tumbling passes. She might actually be going for the third. She doesn't do as difficult ones, but she makes it up in an extra leap. So you get the difficulty from tumbling and also those leaps. So she did an extra leap that maybe not everyone does. Finishing off with a 1.5 punch layout. Really nice routine.
It's fantastic work. I'm almost positive this wasn't Lily Harsh. This may have been Brooke McNamara for her first time today. regardless of who it was, some fireworks there and a great way to notch the penultimate floor routine of the night for the Falcons.
Absolutely.
With that, the senior English international gymnast, Amelia Knight, will get things going.
Unique mount there. It's called a candle mount, worth a lot. Just that, she gets a 10th bonus. Every gymnast needs to get 6/10 bonus to start from 10. Just entering the beam, which a lot of people are just hoping to get on safely. She gets a 10th bonus right there. These last two Illini gymnasts will do a unique series, a side aerial to a back handspring. Amelia will show us the first one. She'll first do her leaps, a switch leap into a Sassone. A little bit of a hesitancy, but since she never stopped moving, they could take a deduction, but she'll still get credit. A lot of people tend to start off right with their series to get out of the way because it tends to be the most difficult part of the routine. She likes to get her leaps out of the way. Aerial back handspring, up quickly. Just a little bit of a bobble, a little bit of unsureness. It was pretty square on the beam, but sometimes if you just don't get quite over the beam enough, it's a little bit of a bobble, but it's still nicely done. It's a minor deduction. Full turn, nicely done. For the bobbles, small bobbles, just any sort of balance check. If you break at the hips, that's when they're going to start taking more deductions. It's a unique dismount, beat jump, side summy, into a tuck fall off the back of the beam, very unique. Other than that small bobble on the aerial back handspring, it's a pretty nice routine. A little bit in the leaps, I could still see that notching a 9.85, maybe even a 9.9 range falling up. Mia Towns also went career high 9.9, it appears. So
indeed she did, and so Amelia Knight following up well, the Bristol native. She will be anchoring on the floor, so her night is not done, but
it's really important for the Illini. They got 5 hit beam routines, so they're not going to count a fall on beam, and they're ending off this rotation with Mia Takakawa, who's notched countless 9.9s in her career and even one perfect 10. So they're in a really good position. Really can only go up from here. I believe we have Lily Hirsch.
This is indeed Lily Hirsch. She's competing for the 3rd time today. It is her final event. She's had quite the day already. She had an unfortunate bars routine, responded with a strong vault. How will she close her account?
She's I love this first pass. It's a back 2.5. Nobody's done it yet. She's a twister. Some people like to do flipping. She prefers the twisting passes. Sometimes can be a little bit out of control on that, but that was excellent control. Finish kept the first foot planted, and then the second foot was a controlled lunge. The difference between the uncontrolled landings that you'll find a deduction for, the first foot needs to stay down, and if it comes up, that's when they'll start taking deductions. That's going to be an interesting leap combination there. She went for a switch half to a wolf 1.5, turned pretty severely early into the wolf 1.5, so I'm not sure they're going to give it credit. So that would hurt her start value. Going to move into a full front pike here. Tight. Really nicely done. It was a little bit low on the front fold, but she stayed tight in her body to make the front pike out of it easily. Once again, she's not going to do any double flipping in this routine. She's going to prefer twisting. The last pass will be a back 1.5 punch layout. Fairly difficult combination pass to finish with. See how she can do. With the arms up, nicely done. Really controlled, as I said. She kept that first foot planted and was able to just about stick it. Sticking is not as important on floor. It's not required. Obviously, it is equally impressive when you can do it. It's going to be interesting seeing what they do with the start value if they do give her credit for that leap, because it was pretty ambiguous what she was actually attempting, and if it was done to the, you have to make at least can be 90 degrees over or under on the leaps, whatever you're going for. So if she overturned that first leap over 90 degrees, then they're going to have to downgrade it.
Lily Hirsch was an uneven bar specialist last year. That was her 3rd floor routine of the season. She certainly looked like a mainstay. A 9.8 from Amelia Knight, preceding Mia Takakawa's final routine on the balance beam for the orange and blue.
She's really got some nice momentum coming in. 9.925 against Rutgers, which was, I couldn't quite find where they found that much deduction. I thought it was equal to the perfect 10 routine she got from freshman year. But a 9.95 last weekend at the quad meet with Boise State, Northern Illinois, and Central Michigan. So, and that had a little bit of bobble on it, so it's pretty obvious what they took that made it not a 10. So if she could, it was on a very simple full turn as well. So if she can iron out that detail, you can see a big number here. She's having quite a great season. A couple misses at the beginning of season. With she has a new leap series that she's added, but I think in these last couple meets she's really figured it out, and it's been quite well done.
I beg your pardon, it was a 985 for Amelia Knight, as you're now seeing on your screen.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought there was a little bit of a discrepancy between the judges. Sometimes one judge will give credit for something the other didn't, so it might have been a 9-9 start right from that one judge, so it bumped it up that 10th. So Mia Takakawa coming in, obviously her career high is a perfect 10. She is perfection in motion on beam. It's really no other way to describe it. Really just never stops moving. A lot of people take time to focus or lead up to skills or pause after finishing it. She just keeps moving straight out of the series. Aerial back handspring, same as Amelia Knight. Straight up, not a waver. Really well done. A little bit of new choreo for the beam. That was where she got a little bit of a bobble last week on the full turn, but looked perfect to me today. One more part of her routine, it's the switch leap into the straddle quarter. As I mentioned, she struggled on a little bit earlier this year at Central Michigan. She didn't get credit for it. She needs to keep moving, and she does perfectly. I don't have a single deduction off so far. Really just leading up to her dismount, a back hamstring gainer full off the side. First we've seen from her today. She's very good at sticking it. Let's see what she can show for us today, because this is an impeccable beam routine.
Fully deserving of a stick. Building up to that dismount.
Back hamstring gainer full, drilled.
Not even in doubt for Mia Takakawa. As Connor detailed, and she was able to pull off that perfect 10 in January of 2020. And it appears that you and my partner from 13 days ago, Casey Meeks, disagreed, or rather agreed about her assessment. I should have been maybe closer to a 10 than it ultimately was. And
yeah,
I'm
one
with
judge
you,
was
Connor.
not feeling it that meet. 995, I can get behind a 995 because that's a near perfect routine. Excellent routine should receive 995s. 10 should be rare. Maybe not as rare as they should be this year. And it was, I believe, another perfect 10 over there. I'm struggling to focus, but I believe double pike. It's another 10 for Mia Takakawa.
Smiles on the faces of just about anybody you look at. But how about that? I beg your pardon,
Pivot
Catherine
back to Bowling
Wallbacher.
Green. Yeah.
We're here on the floor, and it's been a strong start for Wallbacher amidst all of the noise.
Started off with a double pike. Unfortunately, the camera quite missed it a little bit with all the energy over there on beam. It's the second perfect 10 in Illinois beam history. The first, obviously, being Mia Takakawa herself. So that is super, super exciting. It was truly a perfect routine. I don't think a single person in the country looks at that and was like, yeah, I know where they could have found a deduction. So really glad the judges did it. It was absolutely deserving. It was equal to the one she did at Rutgers, where I thought deserved a 10. So I'm glad they had judges here today that
perhaps a measure of justice for Takakawa.
Absolutely. Sometimes I feel like judges tend to give it on routines that didn't deserve it because they felt like the gymnast as a whole deserved it, which I don't think is fair and good for the sport, but that was absolutely a deserving routine. Finishing off with a double tuck, a little bit of cowboy, a little short, but she worked well. That was not a great environment. Not easy to compete in something that loud when you know the other team just had a massive score. 49.5 for Illinois on beam, so that will put them still right on track to go 197. A 49.1 will do it, and it will be tough to hit their program high of 197.525, but they're counting a fall right now. So I think that says a lot about the team that they're still on track to go 197.
Here comes exhibitionist Mackenzie Eddy on the balance beam.
She made her debut at Michigan State in really a situation that was tough for the Illini. A couple bobbles there, but Illinois was really doing some soul searching up beam. Could not find a lineup that was working. They put Mackenzie Eddy in for her first competitive routine ever as a junior, and she went up and did a 9.8 for the team. So it was super impressive and super happy to see. She's nearly made lineups a couple times. Freshman year was supposed to compete at Oregon State, and right before they left the season was canceled due to COVID. And last year was supposed to compete at Ohio State and injured her ankles in warm-up. And that's really kept her out of lineups ever since. Been struggling with those ankle injuries. So beam wasn't really known to be her best event, but it's where she's finding her way to contribute for the Illini squad. A couple little bobbles here and there, but what's important is she's staying on the beam. And Illinois really just wants to have as many lineup options on beam as possible. A nice tuck full dismount. A little bit of a college stick there, but still really nice. She's been hitting consistently in the exhibition spot.
That'll do just fine for Mackenzie Eddy, as my partner alluded to, did debut this year. And if I am not mistaken, I think she was actually on the lineup 13 days ago against Rutgers, before ultimately I think Abby Miller was the one to take her spot. So Eddy's still on that fringe, but very close to the team. We'll have another exhibitionist now for the Falcons.
I believe this might be Megan Deschis.
It is indeed Megan Deschis.
She's going to lead off with an E-pass as well. Let's see how well she can do. Front double twist. A little bit short of rotation. As I said, you can be 90 degrees short, so basically a quarter twist short and still get credit. She'll still get credit for that front double twist, but a couple deductions here and there that she will incur, but still a very difficult tumbling pass. It's nice to see Bowling Green pushing the envelope in difficulty. So her combination pass, front handspring, front layout, front full. Twisted a little bit early, which caused her to go sideways and out of bounds, but still nice difficulty in this routine. She's going to do a third tumbling pass even if she might not need to for difficulty purposes. She's going to show us a front 1.5 twist. She definitely prefers the front tumbling, which not a lot of people do. It's certainly more difficult. Front 1.5, nicely done. That was their best pass of the routine by far. A couple little mistakes here and there, but that's definitely a usable routine for Bowling Green. A little bit more work, and it's going to be lineup ready.
A sophomore of Mesa, Arizona. She has competed in 4 meets this year and has been specializing in the floor exercise, so Megan Deschis will be happy to take that one to her name. And
absolutely,
I think Eddy with a 9.75, if I saw that correctly.
I believe that is
a 9.725.
Still a pretty good score. I mean, she did have a couple bobbles, but every routine for Mackenzie Eddy she gets under her belt is a win for her. That she, getting comfortable in the lineup. Some of her other classmates have had a couple years to get comfortable competing under the college scene. So she's up every single time the Illini have put her up on beam, whether in lineup or exhibition, she's hit. So it's very impressive. She's pushing the lineup girls to be better. Even if she might not be in lineup, she's really raising the standard of the beam squad. It's important to have people who are just outside of lineup who are really pushing their way in, because it forces people that are already in lineup to up their standards for themselves and keep themselves on their toes, because they could really leave lineup at any given moment.
We're going to prepare for the 4th and final rotation here. It's senior day here at the University of Illinois. As you see on your screen, it's a 2.2-point lead for the Fighting Illini. So while not insurmountable, the orange and blue will bring in a lot of confidence into the 4th and final event, which will be on the floor for the Fighting Illini. We'll step aside for just a couple of minutes as the teams transition. Illinois versus Bowling Green women's gymnastics here on Big Ten Plus.
Corporate sponsors offer valuable support to Illinois athletics. The University of Illinois would like to thank State Farm, Nike, Coca-Cola, and the University of Illinois Community Credit Union for their support of Fighting Illini athletics. Fans, remember to stay in your seats after the meet for our post-meet senior night ceremony, as we honor our graduating seniors for their hard work and dedication to the Illini women's gymnastics program. The ceremony will begin immediately following awards. transition period is now over. The 4-minute touch period will now begin. Illinois will be on floor, and Bowling Green will be on beam. Illini fans, we have Miguel with us today to try to name that tune. We're going to play 15 seconds of a song and see if they can guess what it is. All right, Miguel, are you ready? Here's your song. All right, Miguel, what's your guess? Easier soul, Yep, that was an easy one. Congratulations, you won an Illinois prize pack.
We welcome you back here at Huff Hall here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. College women's gymnastics action this Thursday evening. Connor McCool and myself, Alec Gilmore, here on the call on Big Ten Plus. Once again, we're in the fourth and final rotation. You'll see on your screen it is an Illinois lead over the Bowling Green Falcons, but certainly still all to play for both of these teams. The Falcons will close out on the balance beam, and the Illini will close out on the floor. Now, I happen to be joined by a very accomplished floor exercise gymnast in the men's game, Connor. You're an All-American. You've won several titles for your floor routines. What is the most important thing or things to remember for these Fighting Illini as they prepare to close out this meet?
Yeah, floor is all just landings and saving energy for that last pass, especially for women's gymnastics. It's a performance. Men's, we really just doing tumbling passes back to back, but in between the passes for the women, they're really putting on a whole performance. So making sure that you're balancing the energy you put into the performance for the judges and then actually saving energy for that last pass is key. But looking at these passes, you want to see that first foot. You're allowed to take a controlled lunge, either forward or backward, depending on which way you land, which way you face when you land. The first foot can step, but that second back foot needs to stay planted, or else they're going to take a deduction for it being uncontrolled. So looking at each pass, if they keep that foot planted down in the front, then you're going to probably not see a deduction there, but sometimes people will slide or a couple steps back. That's when you'll start seeing the deductions. Floor's the only event you're allowed to take any sort of step on.
While the Illini will dazzle fans on the floor, the Bowling Green Falcons will close on the beam. Starting through Emily Castiglia for the first time today. Katrina Mendez-Abolnik once again. Tess Muir. Dalia Solorzano Caruso. Taylor Jensen and Catherine Walbacher. While we cannot promise that they will be in that order, as the Falcons have proven throughout this evening, we will at least basically guarantee that we're sure to see at least most of those athletes, if not all, on the beam. On the floor, meanwhile, the Illinois Fighting Illini will kick things off with Katie Ewald. Julia Waite, a longtime exhibitionist for the Fighting Illini, will get a run out on the floor for the scorecard. Rituja Nataraj, Abby Miller, and Mia Takakawa will lead into Amelia Knight's neat closing floor exercise routine. So we're just about 15 seconds away from the touch time being expired. It will be the Falcons that we'll see first in this fourth rotation of four. Once again, a 2.2 lead for the Fighting Illini, and after coming off a 197.125, a third best mark in program history, it's not out of reach, not quite yet, for the Fighting Illini. They'll have to put in a very strong showing on the floor. So with that, the Falcons will get things underway on the balance beam through Emily Castiglia.
One exciting note for Illinois is I see Mia Towns is warming up floor here. She has not competed floor at all this season. She dealt with a little bit of foot injury early on, and then, as we mentioned, the illness, kind of a lot she's had on to deal with. She competed the first couple meets. We haven't seen her since Penn State, and then she reappeared in the lineups last week. So haven't seen any floor routines from her this season. She was the top scorer aside from Shayla Scott. So I don't believe she's going to make her way in the lineup, but if we see an exhibition from her today, nice to know that she's an option, and maybe she can work her way back in for Mizzou on Saturday or into the Big Ten Championships or regionals.
Towns is officially listed as an alternate for the Fighting Illini today, as is Allie Morgan. So we'll see what the roster ends up being. I can tell you that's Katie Ewald getting set for her floor routine. Making sure the hair is of perfect shape. Maybe not as big of a deal for the short-haired athletes of men's gymnastics, but every single detail has got to be perfect.
Yeah. The last thing you want to do is have a bow or a hair tie fall out in the middle of your set. I've seen it happen before. It's not a deduction, but it certainly is distracting if your hair is falling in your face. So making sure it's tight and in order before your routine is definitely important. The last thing you want to have to be worrying about when you're doing a floor routine is your hair.
So here comes Emily Castiglia, a balance beam specialist. She's averaging a 9.672. She has only failed to eclipse 9.65 once this year. So a solid performer, despite being just a freshman.
Little bobble on the front turn. This is her series. Front toss, back handspring. I think she just about kept moving there. Will get credit for it. I think she might have went to even repeat it again. You're allowed to do everything twice in gymnastics without any deduction and get it counted. So I believe she's going to do it again to make sure she got credit for it. I think she still will get credit for the first one, even though she missed the second attempt. A couple little bobbles here and there. It was a pretty complex leap combination, 3 leaps in a row. Little of a bobble, but I believe since she did those 2 difficult combinations, she's done. So she's going to get off with a front full dismount and the stick. So a couple bobbles within the routine. Might be a question on the start value, but she at least finished it off with a nice dismount. One less thing that they can deduct for. It's the last thing that judges see. It's the first thing they'll remember in the next routine too as well. So
it's good work by Castiglia, again a freshman. And as you were saying, everybody is allowed to attempt their skills twice, albeit it does carry the risk of further time potentially falling. So with that, we open the Illini account on the floor through Katie Ewald, who has been the perennial opener these last few weeks.
Yeah, she's moved into the leadoff role. She's kind of the perfect example of a great leadoff. She may not do the most difficult routine, but it's super clean. It's not a big risk, and it's guaranteed to start off with a good score. It's a front handspring. This is a unique pass. 1.5 twist in her back layout. Half her start value bonus will come just in that pass, so it's worth a lot in the judge's eyes. She's going to do a very unique D leap here, a split 1.5. And I do believe she'll get credit for that. Maybe a touch short, so I could carry deduction, but definitely enough to get the 10-0 start rate she's looking for. Just switch side into a popa. So once again, she's only going to do 2 tumbling passes, so she has to make up that additional difficulty in more leaps. So she did both of those the leap series and then the difficult split 1.5.
Saw her addressing the camera and our viewers at home. Ewald is 13 days removed from her career high of 9.875, so certainly in good form.
Finishing off with a full front layout. Really well done. She was a little bit under on that front full, but she stayed tight and was able to get it done anyway, and really didn't look like there was any issue at all. The judges really don't have a whole lot to deduct in that routine. It's a great leadoff.
Indeed, great work by Katie Ewald, the sophomore of Newburgh, Indiana. A perennial state champion during her high school and club days in the state of Indiana. She has since come on and worked her way into a vital role for this Illini side. With that, we go to the second balance beam athlete of the day for the Bowling Green State Falcons. It's Katrina Mendez-Obolnik, at least it is on my roster. It looks to me that Mendez-Obolnik is addressing the beam at this moment. She is an all-arounder today for this Bowling Green team.
Definitely a staple in the Bowling Green lineup. She's a consistent all-arounder and someone they put up and expect a good score. Beam, however, she tends to be a little bit shaky. Looking into her stats this year, she's had a couple really strong scores and then a couple that have dipped into the 8s with a couple falls in her career. So hopefully she can keep up the momentum set by Castiglia coming into her series, back handspring layout, step out. Solid as a rock. Starting off strong, she looks confident. I have a good feeling about this routine. Don't want to make any bets on her, but
I don't think we as commentators can legally do that, but
absolutely not.
we do look to be in you would be in pretty good shape. This has been a very strong showing from the freshmen so far.
Difficult leap series, split to a split three-quarter before that, and then a front toss there. Looked like she might have intended to do a jump out of that front toss. Doing quick math, she might not start out of a 10-0 start value. It's still a very solid routine. If it's out of a 9-9, it can still score in that 9-7, 9-8 range if it's a nice routine. Stuck dismount there. She didn't have a lot off, even if it doesn't start out of a 9-9.
Not a lot of errors, indeed, is the case for Mendez Obolnik. That low landing, perhaps preventing one more move, but nonetheless.
Julia Waite making her floor lineup debut for this season, following Kitty Ewald, career high, tying 9.875. It's excited to see her in here. She's got a lot of powerful tumbling. She has exhibitioned a lot and competed a few times in her career, but it's really excited to see her make her way in for the last regular season meet, because as at Huff at least, as you get into postseason, it's really difficult to crack the lineup. So great double pike. You can see that front foot did slide back a little bit, so it's going to be a little bit of a deduction, but still very high, very well done. It's going to go into a combination pass.
She does carry a very beatable 9.625, a little bit of a slip on the landing there, but she recovers quickly. The best thing you can do in that situation.
Yeah, feet were just a little bit in front of her on the back 1.5. A little bit unfortunate. She scored extremely well in the exhibition spot these past couple weeks, going 9.85 twice. So she earned her way into this lineup, absolutely. A little bit of a bobble, unfortunate, but difficult tumbling test to finish the double back.
We'll see how much it penalizes weight up until then, and since then, not a lot of substantial errors. She prepares for her final pass. Very, very close to that boundary.
She does not need any of it. Unfortunately, just out of gas there. Hands go down. Probably won't count as a fall. Hands can touch. As long as you don't put support, it'll be a 3/10 deduction. Full support, then it'll count as a fall. So I think she just will probably get the benefit of just the 3/10 deduction there. But with the fall earlier in the routine,
I would agree with you that it didn't look like she was supporting herself with those hands, but we'll see what the judges think.
Test me with a really unique punch front onto the beam off of a vaulting springboard. You don't see it a whole lot. It's worth a lot. Similar to Amelia Knight doing the riskier mount for the bonus. You don't see a lot of people doing that, but a little bit of a bobble on it, but very impressive nonetheless.
She was very frustrated with her exhibition on the uneven bars earlier this evening. Looking to put that behind her, and you can see the stoicism she's carrying with herself up to this point.
Her series was a one-arm back. It was a one-arm back hamstring back layout. The one-arm back hamstrings are worth a little bit more than the traditional, obviously, with two hands on the beam. So it's a little bit of extra bonus if you're capable of doing it. That's a really cool leap, a cat leap into a switch side half. That's a very difficult leap. I believe it's worth an E, which is pretty, you don't see a whole lot of. It's going to finish off with a nice front full, little hop. And not a lot of built-in deductions there. A little bit of wobble on the mount and some uncertainties here and there, but Bowling Green's absolutely happy with that. That is routine 3 down for them.
Called that courageous gymnastics there from Tess Mayer, putting off some more difficult techniques. We'll see how the judges favor the challenge. In the meantime, Rutuja Nataraj, the freshman of Wallingford, Connecticut. She had a career day against Rutgers less than 2 weeks ago. She earned a 9.9 in her relatively young appearance on the floor lineup. We'll see if she can top it here.
Yeah, she's going to do a 2-pass routine, but she's going to start off with a really difficult combination with front layout into a front 1.5. Sometimes she can land a little bit short on this, so the hope is she can get her chest up and shoot a little bit forward, but definitely one of the better ones I've seen her do. So switch ring, that's a difficult one. The switch ring requires you to go past that 180-degree split. Your foot is supposed to be at the level of the back of your head. I absolutely cannot bend that way, so it's impressive that any of these athletes can.
Just to clarify, that is a collegiate gymnast saying that here for her final pass is Nataraj.
Double tuck, excellent control. She's going to get an extra 10th for doing that at the end.
She could barely contain her excitement on the landing.
And I don't blame her. Quite the day for Rutu again. Finishing up there. Excellent. She's got, really is what I call the whole package. She's got difficult tumbling, even more difficult tumbling in her repertoire that maybe we'll see debut next year, but she's got great leaps and then great performance quality. Some people are really good at tumbling but don't quite have the flexibility to do the great leaps. Rutu's got it all. Really difficult double tuck in her second pass and the great switch ring to switch half. She scored really well this season. Even with that little bit of bobble on the first pass, I could see that going 9.85 plus.
With that, our next competitor for the Bowling Green Falcons, I believe, is Dalia Solorzano Caruso.
And a wonderfully solid back hamstring layout step out. Not a bobble. She had the best form that I think we've seen on one of those today. Really straight legs. That will be a question. She did a nice front aerial and a little bit slow into the Sassone, but once again, she bobbled, but she fought hard to keep moving, so I think she still might get credit.
I beg your pardon, partner. This is Serena Ross, in fact, of Los Angeles, California.
A nice stag ring there. It's pretty unique. It's difficult. You have to lose sight of the beam. Imagine jumping up and down and looking away from the 4-inch piece of wood that you're jumping on and hoping that your legs come back down. Super difficult, and we haven't seen one of those today, so pretty impressive. Finishing with a back handspring 1.5. Really tried to hold out for the stick, but unfortunately took quite a big step back. So on the beam, it was a really wonderful routine. Just that deduction for being short on the dismount.
So with that, Serena Ross, her 8th showing of the year. And with that, we will transition into floor performer number 4. Here's Abby Miller, one of the most expressive athletes on this Fighting Illini team.
Head coach Natalie Walsh and choreographer, obviously. She has a dance background prior to being a gymnastics coach. She has outdone herself on these routines this year. This is one of my favorites. Abby Miller herself actually was a competitive dancer prior to coming to college gymnastics, so you'll see that today.
It's a really match made in heaven.
Really big double pike, just about stuck. Just gonna quiet and let you guys enjoy. Layout to front full, really well done. Great leaps.
Preparing for her final pass.
Big double tuck. Really controlled there. That front foot stayed absolutely planted. No doubt in my mind that was a perfect controlled lunge.
She blows a kiss to her teammates, and Abby Miller, the elementary education major, I say it often, schooling the rest of us on how to have fun with a top-tier floor routine. So Abby Miller, number 4, but she got this crowd hopping, that is for sure. The penultimate, I beg your pardon, partner, real quick. This is Taylor Jensen for the Falcons, the penultimate beam competitor for Bowling Green.
You're going to see a similar series that we saw from a lot of people. Back handspring layout, step out, saw from a lot. Excuse me, score coming in for Abby Miller, a career high 9925. So a lot to be excited about there.
And I once again have to correct myself. It is in fact Dalia Solorzano Caruso. Supposed to compete in the 4th slot, instead in the 5th.
Coach Kerry Turner is switching it up on us. A lot of teams do tend to wait till the last minute to decide final lineups. Look at those last touch warm-ups the 2 minutes before the routines. They want to know who's ready right when the routines are happening, not, yesterday in practice. But that was a great set. Similar to the unique dismount from Amelia Knight, the side semi tuck full off. A really nice routine. Couple little things, maybe the leaps weren't quite 180 degrees, but no wobbles that I saw, and it's going to be a big score for Bowling Green.
Solorzano Caruso, the Southeast Missouri transfer, finding her way. in this Falcons field. Now from Mia Takikawa, capping her all-around campaign this evening, coming off a career best 6 days ago.
This routine right here is probably one of my favorites in the NCAA. She's really worked hard on her performance quality from her freshman year routine. Her and Natalie Walsh have worked hard to make it a routine that fits her and is just really well done. Big round-up double pike here.
Big time.
Excellently
pass.
done. Show of emotion right after.
The home crowd getting into it now.
You'll see she's going to show off her flexibility multiple times in this routine at the end of this pass and the next, with a split jump, back 1.5 to a Branny into a beautiful split jump. She has some of the best flexibility. Obviously, we showed it with the perfect 10 on beam she just got. There we go, switch side to a split full. I would venture to say those are some of the best leaps in the country, and I think she's absolutely underrated on floor. Didn't compete floor last year, dealing with a little bit of nagging injuries, but now she's healthy, and she's been in the all-around in the last couple meets, and she's going to catapult into the national rankings because she needs one more score to get into the national qualifying scores that requires at least 5. Finishing up what is a really great routine, front 1.5 into another big split jump, hopefully.
Coming down this final pass, we'll see what she has.
Beautiful. That was what I call one of Mia Takikawa's best floor routines ever. She's really shown that she can replicate the same near-perfect floor routines week in, week out. They look like that every single week. I challenge you to find one that she didn't land that double pike the exact same way every single week. So super impressive to show her consistency. I believe that'll probably end up being another career high night for her. She has been breaking her own personal record over and over again this year with a 39.45, I believe is her most recent one.
Takikawa, I believe, earned a 39.475. But another career day. Gorgeous gymnastics from Takikawa. With that, we go to the final Bowling Green gymnast. It is Catherine Walbach. No, it is not Catherine Walbacher. It is Taylor Jensen.
Back handstand layout, step out. Fought hard to stay on. Couple wobbles there and a 9.925. Excuse me, sorry, I can't contain that. For Mia Takikawa will give her an absolutely career day. Really nice leaps here, though. Recovering from that back handspring layout step out was a little bit of a wobble, but fought hard to stay on the beam, which is important.
Her 39.475 may very well be at stake. A young career high for Takikawa.
Doing the quick math, I think she went for a 39.725, which is an unbelievable, out of a perfect 40, I might add. So under 0.3 off on her entire day, which is an impressive feat. Beautiful dismount there. Back handspring 1.5 for Taylor Jensen. A little bit off at the beginning of the routine, but really brought it back with some nice leaps, and overall just a great performance there.
Amelia Knight will close out the scorecard here at Huff Hall. The senior English international gymnast. The Bristol native. She earned a 9.9 at Penn State a little over a month ago.
Looking to replace Julia Waite's 8.85. Anything over a 9.7, I believe, will give them a 197 as well for the second time this season and just the third time in 3 years. So beautiful start with that E-pass front double full, pretty controlled. A unique leap series there, a wolf hop full into a switch half.
The smile on the face of head coach Natalie Walsh in the background.
Going to do the double tuck in the second line. Was doing it in the third pass earlier in the season, last competition season, but it's a little bit easier here to do it second. Really well done, controlled landing. She has some impressive height.
Stephen Buckner, the characteristic big fist pump behind her.
Absolutely. She's got a good one going here. Needs to save her energy for this combination pass. Really stay tight in her core. Nice 1.5 front layouts. Well done. A little bit of a bounce, but that will absolutely throw Illinois over the 197 mark for the second time this season, second time in a row.
Within a week.
Within a week. So
talk about peaking at the right time if you're fighting Illini. 9 days away from their Big Ten championship attempt. We're getting some smiles there from head coach Natalie Walsh.
Absolutely. They did start off a little bit slower in the season, the Illini, but clearly any kinks that they had, they have worked hard in the gym, worked it out, and are showing off that they are absolutely contenders in the Big Ten and want to show that they're going to make it through to that last day of regionals.
I think this is Lily Harsh exhibitioning for the Falcons.
Back hamstring layout. Falcons should be extremely happy. They had no falls on beam, just shy of the 49 mark. Didn't quite reach the 195 mark for a second time this season, but still a lot to be happy about. They did have a couple lower scores, so this would be a good number to have to drop as an away score. As some may know, the national qualifying score, you need 3 away and 2 home, minimum 3 away. So this is a great usable away score. Even though they did have to count a fall on bars, it's still something to be happy about. They have a lot of beautiful gymnastics and a lot of upsides today.
So we'll see this close out from Lily Harsh.
Little
character building day for Harsh.
Absolutely.
Next up on the floor.
We're going to see an exhibition from Mia Towns, and I am thrilled. She has one of the best overall floor routines, choreographed mainly by herself in conjunction with Natalie Walsh, but she has an incredible dance sense herself. Just sit back and enjoy. Another front double twist, super controlled. See the final score there in the corner for Illinois, a 197.35. Last year they set their program best of a 197.575. Mind you, this 197.35 is counting a fall on uneven bars, which is unbelievably impressive. 49.5 on beam, just shy of that 49.475 on vault, and then 49.45 on floor. Final pass here for Mia Towns. She has a beautiful one going. 1.5 front full, difficult second pass. This, unfortunately, will probably be their highest score of the day on floor, and it's not going to be able to count for them because she is in the exhibition spot, but she's working her way back from a couple different setbacks of injury and illness, getting her endurance back. But seeing this here, this will absolutely beautiful leaps go 9.9. So being able to swap in one of the people from the lineup going 9.9 will push them to the 49.5 mark for Big Ten. If they can have Mia Towns back for 3 events for Big Tens and the NCAA regionals, which is a predetermined location, they're going to be very happy. That's what really this Illini squad was missing all year. Was Mia Towns is the glue that holds a lot of these lineups together for them. She is just a steady competitor, does not miss, and now that we have her back, we're seeing the impact she has. Last 2 meets she's been back, and they've coincidentally gone 197. So quite a day for Illinois.
Good luck charm, if you will. A lot of swagger in that routine from Mia Towns, and it's surely going to be rewarded on the scoreboard. We'll await what the final number is. We see the rotation. It's not quite all the way around. A 9.9 flat
from one judge. I don't know what the second one went, but 9.9 might just be a 9.9 flat. Might just be a 9.9 flat. It was, but still, so not quite their highest one, but would have given them an extra 10th in the lineup. So I would be hard pressed to find her not in their floor lineup for the Big Ten championships. But what a day for the Illini. Really just counting a fall. We thought a lot of teams could have let that completely stop their momentum, but they kept it going with amazing routines to finish off. Mia Takakawa's 9.95 on bars, carried it over to beam the 49.5, averaging a 9.9, capping off with Mia Takakawa's perfect 10. I mean, it's hard to be disappointed about this day. Obviously, nobody wants to count a fall, but this is probably one of their, it's probably 2 or 3 highest scores in program history. Obviously, we know their highest was set last year. It was not quite there, but quite a day for them.
It is at least top 3. It could be top 2. Don't go anywhere. Connor and I are going to stay right here. We're going to have the event winners listed for you, as well as an Illinois Senior Day ceremony. You're seeing the cheers, and fully deserving of it are the Illinois Fighting Illini. Step aside for just one moment, Will Connor and I. Don't go anywhere here on Big Ten Plus. We welcome you back to Huff Hall here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Post-meet celebrations for the Fighting Illini as they take care of business against the Bowling Green State University Falcons in their final home meet of the regular season. The Illini putting up a top 3 in program history number with a 197.35. Bowling Green coming with a 194.625. The Falcons are done for their regular season. That's not a bad number to go out for the season, Connor.
Absolutely not. Bowling Green's had a fairly good season for themselves, topping out in the 195.7 mark. They're showing that they can be a very competitive team in the MAC if they can just put it all together and try and get 5 hit routines on every event. There's a lot for them to be happy about. There's a lot of gymnastics that I was super impressed by. So just couple more weeks before the MAC championships, we're going to iron out these lineup difficulties and hopefully get in 6-6 lineups for the MAC championships. And I believe they're going to be competitive going into there. They definitely have a lot of talent, and the potential is there. They just need to be able to put it all together, and hopefully in the postseason, that's where we're going to see it for them.
Both teams will be beginning their conference championship campaigns in a little bit less than 9 days, March 19th for both the MAC and the Big Ten championships. And as you're saying, Connor, both teams very competitive in their respective conferences as we get into championship season. One more meet for the Illinois Fighting Illini in just a couple of days on Saturday. So how can you close out a campaign like this after having such a great, really several home meets for the Fighting Illini? How do you carry that through one more away meet with multiple teams up against you and then into a strong performance in the conference championship?
What's key for them is showing that they can do it on the road, especially with the Big Ten championships not being at home. I believe it's at Ohio State. They're going to want to show this weekend at Missouri that they can score a 197 on the road as well, because there's going to a lot of people always tend to write off high home scores to the favorable judges that know the teams well and are local. So showing that they can do it anywhere in the country is important to knock down the people that might say it's a fluke. Coming in, this is going to help their national qualifying score a lot. Their ranking, they keep dropping week to week, even with impressive performances. This one, now they'll be able to, you have to drop your highest, so they'll be able to count that 197, 125. They have a bunch of pretty good away scores. If they can get one more at Mizzou, and going into the Big Ten championships, they'll be in a good position for the regionals. The regionals is a 3-day event. Some people have to play in. And it can, if you have a successful run at regionals, you can compete 3 days in a row. So if you are good enough in the rankings prior to regionals, you can pre-qualify to that second day and skip that first day of competition. So currently the Illini are, I believe, out of that range, but it's definitely not a place they want to be. They're going to have to move up a couple more spots so they can pre-qualify to that second day, so they have one less day of competition. Because 3 days on the body, as anybody can imagine, is a lot. This will definitely bring a big boost to their national qualifying score. They're coming up. It's a big meet. Mizzou, I remember my freshman year, Illinois was able to pull off an upset, but Mizzou is a much different team this time around, scoring plenty of 197 pluses this year. So it's going to be a big battle, especially Illinois off 2 197s going to Mizzou. It's going to be a big battle. I'm really excited to see it.
Columbia, Missouri is indeed hosting. The Tigers will also be playing host to Lindenwood and another Big Ten foe in Iowa State. And so we are sure to see some quality gymnastics once again from all 4 teams, really. Lots of different backgrounds, lots of different paths. You can say that about these 2 teams, certainly. In the record, you're going to see Bowling Green having just defeated 2 opponents this year. That is to their credit, with a very difficult schedule before them.
Absolutely.
They've gotten a lot better throughout the season, haven't they, Connor?
No, yeah. They started off a little bit slow with the lower 193, 192 range scores. But it's been a slow climb for them, and the MAC is no easy conference. Maybe lesser-known sports teams in a broader maybe football or basketball sense, but the gymnastics is different. You don't need to be a big name to have talented gymnasts, and the MAC showing with Kent State, Eastern Michigan, there's a lot of talented teams in there that are able to push that 197 barrier on a good day. So while they might only have 2 wins on the season, their difficulty of their schedule is quite high. So it's definitely not something, it's not a great look to say that it's just 2 wins on the season, but looking into it and looking at the talent of the teams that they're facing, it's really nothing to turn your nose up at. Yeah.
Well, the Illinois Fighting Illini, as they prepare to face more Big Ten opposition once again. Earlier, within the last month or so, at the Big 5 meet, they came in 3rd out of 5, losing out to only Michigan and Ohio State at that meet where a lot of talented gymnasts do compete and put up some of their career performances. The Illini no exception there. So with that experience for the Fighting Illini, that'll certainly draw upon that. They'll have their energy of the home fans, no doubt, and then I feel like on Saturday it's going to be a great experience for them. And then for Bowling Green, they get the opposite. They get to rest for a little bit, a couple extra days. Yeah. And they definitely turned in a tough shift. And it should be noted that the uneven bars, scores, and performances, not among either team's best. A couple of falls, the bars just seemed a little bit taller today.
Yeah, someone needs to check those. A lot of people seem to find themselves just a couple inches too far than normal. So,
seeing the soundtrack quiet down a little bit. We're sticking around for a little bit longer than usual. We do have the event winners coming up, and we'll list those as we go, and then we'll let the PA actually take over for us and carry us through the senior day ceremony, as it is the final home meet for many of these students. And it's unfortunate because several of these seniors do have to walk away from Huff Hall with falls in their final day, but surely they're going to look at this team performance. There's a lot of camaraderie among this Fighting Illini side, and I can't imagine, even with the low scores that some of these athletes achieved, they'll be too disappointed at the end of the night.
Absolutely not. Looking at the two athletes that did suffer falls, Rachel Borden, obviously resiliency in her and her ability to stay motivated in an environment like club gymnastics that maybe isn't quite as competitive and as devoted to the sport. It's a little bit more casual. So the fact that she was able to keep herself at a collegiate level and walk onto the team and eventually earn a scholarship even, super impressive. So this is just a bump in the road. She's going to look straight past this. And then Mallory Mizuki as well, coming off of two ACL tears in her sophomore and junior season. She is just, I think, happy to be healthy and competing. Any routine she gets to do for the Illini is just a routine that she gets to have under her belt and an experience she gets to have. Very uncharacteristic. She hasn't missed a single bar set this year. She's not going to be concerned about it. She came up with a career high 9.925 on beam immediately after. It was obviously not ideal, but I don't think any of them are really going to be, it's not going to be keeping them up at night.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and announce the event winners. And not to play a little bit of a spoiler, but in all four individual events, the Illini take the top 3 spots. So you're just hearing there. Mia Takakawa tying with Rutu Nataraj, the 9.875 in third place, which is relatively low considering the day that Takakawa had. More on that in just a moment. Mia Towns gets second place acclaims with a 9.925. And then indeed the career best.
A perfect 9.95 on vault, I think, could not be understated. If it was a more difficult vault, started out of 10, it would have been a perfect 10.
So it should not be discounted either. Array assignments off of a torn Achilles in her collegiate career. Absolutely incredible resiliency. She gets more applause here. She got the third place uneven bars score, and it was a tricky day for the Illini on the bars. A 9.875 there gets her the bronze. Olivia O'Donnell, and not only did she get second place, but in what was a very tumultuous opening set, or a couple of sets for the Illini, Olivia O'Donnell's performance so important in generating momentum.
Really, that was, I think, you can credit it to Illini keeping their momentum and reversing the tide of what looked like it could have been a very disastrous bar rotation. She came up, did what she does every single week, and got an impressive career high score.
That set up her 9.95 for Mia Takakawa on the bars. We'll get into the balance beam. We're going to see all 5 digits lit up for the number 1 scorer. Mia Towns with a 9.9. Mallory Mizuki with a 9.925 for the Illinois Fighting Illini. Mizuki will get the acclaims now. And then Mia Takakawa, not for the first time today, or not for the first time in her career, Mia Takakawa will let the PA take it here.
Tying her own team record as the only person ever to get a 10 on beam from Illinois, Mia Takakawa.
Flawless routine, and
Perfection.
You just cannot disagree.
It was absolute perfection.
Your results on the floor exercise.
It's a 3-way tie for first. Amelia Knight, Mia Takakawa, and Abby Miller, all with 9.925.
All career highs, I might add.
Pretty impressive to say the least. The Bristol, Great Britain native Amelia Knight gets her acclaims. Mia Takakawa in her career day. More on that in just a second. And then Abby Miller, she had the highest score, and she had the most fun, you have to say, on the floor today. So with that, we'll hear a couple of Bowling Green names called out for their all-around performances.
Taylor Jensen.
Taylor Jensen gets a deserved ovation. You can see she's got some ice on her leg, putting everything out on the floor, figuratively and also, well, really with all 4 events, did Taylor Jensen. Katrina Mendez-Obolnik with a 39.175. Certainly not an unimpressive score, but Mia Takakawa.
I believe that was an Illinois record he just announced for the 39.75 for Mia Takakawa. Clear day for her.
I think, if my math serves me right, a 9.9375 average across her 4 events. That is just incredible from Mia Takakawa.
Noting that her vault doesn't start from a 10, so
Yeah.
she only started out of a 39.95 and went 39.75. So just
incredible.
0.2 off on the day.
And here, the University of Illinois Fighting Illini will get their acclaims here at Huff Hall. They win their final home meet of the year with a 197.35. That is a top 3 mark after setting a top 3 mark just days ago. The 197.125. The Fighting Illini with a 197.35 to defeat Bowling Green and in stylish fashion. So with that, we're going to go ahead and turn off our mics. We'll pop back on one more time just to say so long to you all. But it is the senior night here at Huff Hall for the Illinois Fighting Illini, and as such, we're going to let the PA take away the ceremony here.
We'd like to begin by honoring the seniors from the Bowling Green Falcons. From Bowling Green, please welcome Paige Bachner, Tess Muir, Kate Goldstrom, and Kayla Chan. At this time, we would like to honor our 4 seniors from the Illinois Women's Gymnastics Program. Manager Hana Komodo, athletes Rachel Borden, Mallory Mizuki, and Shayla Scott for their hard work and contributions made to this program. Now let's take a moment to honor each of them. First, we have Hana Komodo, joined tonight by her mother, Haruko Komodo. Hana has been a manager for the team for all 4 years. She's working towards a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology and will be going to grad school for a Master's in Physician's Assistant Studies. Following graduation, she will begin working in the healthcare field. Please give a round of applause for Hana Komodo. Next, we have Rachel Borden, joined tonight by her parents, Eric and Rebecca Borden. Rachel joined the team as a sophomore, and after being on the team for 1 day, she posted a score of 9.7 for her exhibition beam routine at Iowa. She posted a career high on bars this season at Kentucky with a 9.875 and has a career high of 9.875 on beam. This past December, she graduated from the University of Illinois with her bachelor's in chemical engineering and is now pursuing her master's in finance. Let's give a round of applause for Rachel Borden. Next, we have Mallory Mizuki. Mallory is joined by her parents, Howard and Cynthia. Mallory won the 2021 Fighting Illini Spirit Award, given to the student athlete who best exemplifies spirit, courage, effort, and dedication of the Fighting Illini. She was also a recipient of the 2021 Big Ten Sportsmanship Award. Mallory has career highs of 9.925 on bars and 9.875 on beam. She's majoring in chemical engineering and minoring in food science. Please give another round of applause for Mallory Mizuki. And lastly, we have Shayla Scott. Joined today by parents Joe and Tina Scott. Shayla is a two-time second-team All-Big Ten gymnast. She's tied for the highest score in program history on beam with a 9.950. Her other career highs are 9.825 on vault and 9.925 on floor. She'll graduate with a degree in political science with a law and power concentration and a minor in business. Let's give a round of applause for Shayla Scott. Illini fans, let's give one more round of applause for this group of seniors.
Alrighty, checking in one last time here from Huff Hall. It's Alec Gilmore alongside Connor McCool here. It was senior day here at Huff Hall. Some fantastic gymnastics all around, from freshmen to graduate students. We saw a lot from both Illinois and the visiting Bowling Green. So a lot that these seniors offer to this team. You're a gymnast on the men's Illinois side. How important are the seniors on your team?
Really, they're the most experienced. A lot of times they're the glue that hold the team together, especially for this team. A lot of our teams are going to be losing out of these two athletes, so obviously extremely difficult to replace in terms of athletic prowess and just spirit and experience to show the rest of the team. So these are two incredible athletes that are going to be dearly missed on the Illini squad next year.
We were treated to a fantastic home closing meet here, so from a distance, I believe this is Noah's camera that we're seeing, so I'll make eye contact up there. It's truly been a pleasure to be along for the ride for this Illini women's gymnastics ride. And then Connor, I hate to out you here, but this was your first time hopping onto one of these Big Ten Plus broadcasts, and personally, I have to say I hope it's not your last, Connor.
I appreciate it. Try my best.
So we thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here on Big Ten Plus. It's been college women's gymnastics action. The Illinois Fighting Illini close out their home account for 2022 with a win over Bowling Green. Have a good night, everybody.